Meeting of the Essex County Board of Chosen Freeholders is hereby called to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Freeholder. Absent. Freeholder Brown.
Here.
Oh,
Here.
Freeholder Cooper, Freeholder Brown.
Here.
Freeholder Johnson.
Here.
Freeholder Luciano.
Here.
Freeholder Ricardo.
Here.
Freeholder Kamara.
Here.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Here.
Freeholder Seymour.
Here.
Freeholder President Gill.
Here. I'm going to ask that we please stand for the salute to the flag. I'm going to ask Dr. Harris to lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to ask that we please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. I have before me certification from the clerk that this meeting is in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. At this point, I'm going to ask our District 5 freeholder, Carlos Palmares, who represents the great township of Bloomfield on the freeholder board, to offer greetings on behalf of the board. And freeholder, would you also please introduce any Bloomfield elected officials who are with us here tonight, and we'd also like to please invite them to make whatever remarks they'd like, as long as they're positive about us.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good evening and welcome all to beautiful Bloomfield. Very proud. This is my hometown now for the last 20 years. I literally live just a few blocks away right off the historic green. Bloomfield has seen a great renaissance in the last few years with the redevelopment of the downtown, the revitalization of our historic district, the addition of new parks, and a very competent mayor and council that's been here for quite some time. I had the pleasure of sitting just 2 seats over as councilman at large for 2 terms here prior to joining the Essex County Board of Chosen Freeholders. And this is a wonderful place for businesses, for families to raise their children, and just an all-around great place to go out and enjoy. We have a lot of nice things going on in town, and they're only getting better. At this time, I'd like to, earlier today, we recognized a good amount of members of our community, athletes and coaches and teachers of the years and et cetera. We had a much fuller members of the council. We had Mayor Venezia here. We had Councilman Nick Joanno. Today, still with us on the second shift, we have Councilman Rich Rockwell. And stand up, Rich. Councilman Rockwell is a leading figure in historic preservation and is actively involved in the Bloomfield Historical Society, so you may have seen him in those channels as well. He's very much instrumental as a partner of mine in the preservation of the Morris Canal and the historic Collins House here in Bloomfield, part of a 102-mile greenway that we're in the process of putting together, 5 miles of which go through Bloomfield. And we're also joined by Councilman Ted Gamble. Instrumental in a lot of the arts initiatives, as well as a great advocate for a good amount of the community events as well. We also have Vice Chair of the Democratic Committee, Jenny Gamble, who is accompanied by her date and escort, the Junior Councilman, Asher Gamble. Please stand. And I believe the other members have moved on because there was a few other events today, but on behalf of the Mayor and Council, we're going to have Mr. Councilman Ted Gamble come and share some greetings on behalf of the Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Freeholder Palmares. On behalf of Mayor Mike Venezia and the Bloomfield Town Council, I welcome the Board of Chosen Freeholders to Bloomfield. And having served with Freeholder Palmares and having met most of you at various events around the county, I know you guys are doing good work, and I would like to thank you for all the work that you're doing here in Bloomfield. I know our parks have benefited from projects that you've put forth. I know Wassessing Park is having a great facelift being done right now, and they are moving quickly. So thank you for all that you do for Bloomfield, and keep doing the good work that you do. Thank you.
Mr. President, I should also add that the councilman and his wife are extremely active in the Wassessing Park Conservancy, which has been a terrific partner with us, especially over the last few years with the cleanup and bringing to our attention some of the suggestions and improvements that we can make, and they've been very instrumental. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Freeholder Primaris. Also want to reiterate Freeholder Primaris's comments. Thank the members of the council who have joined us here tonight. And thank you for opening up your council chamber to allow us to bring county government to the people. Every year, this has been an ongoing tradition that we've had now probably over the last at least 5 or 6 years, probably even longer than that. But the partnership both between the county and the township of Bloomfield has been a very good one, and we look to continue to be able to work together. So thank you again for your hospitality this evening. Madam Clerk, are there any transcripts to be approved?
Mr. President, there are 3. Conference Board, February 6, 2019, February 20th, 2019, and March 7th, 2019.
Do you have any questions or comments? Do I have a motion in a second to approve the transcripts?
Move it. Second.
Moved by President Richardson, second by Freeholder Mercado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes. Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So,
Madam Clerk, are there any topics of discussion?
Mr. President, there are none.
Okay. Madam Clerk, let's move to the public comment session. Tonight's meeting is a conference board meeting, and we will vote on every item on the agenda. If there's any member of the public who would like to comment on any issue, whether or not it is on the agenda, please come to the microphone and state your name and affiliation for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. This is both for agenda items and non-agenda items together.
Good evening. My name is David Harris. I'm the co-chair of the Voters' Rights Committee of SOMA Action. I'm here once again to encourage you to adopt the hand-marked paper ballots and the polling place location of the optical scanners. I want to thank President Gill for, at the end of the public comment section of the last meeting, that he had the fortitude to step forward and actually say that he wanted to go on record in favor of the hand-marked paper ballots. I look forward to any other freeholders who feel that way to show the same fortitude, because this is the kind of leadership that it takes to actually accomplish this. In my remaining time, I want to emphasize what I said last time, which is having had the opportunity to go to the trade show and look at the available voting systems, the complexity, the improvements, and the sophisticated sales pitches of these manufacturers for their various voting machines really takes expertise to understand how to compare them side by side. I asked that question, I think it was 2 meetings ago, and I received an answer that our administration is not taking advantage of having expertise. What the answer said was that the expertise was applied in certifying the machines. The certification of these machines means that they work. It's not a comparison of which one is better or not. If you look at the website for the certified machines in the state of New Jersey, there's a certified machine on that website that was certified in 1987. So looking at certified machines and then choosing from among them is not accessing the expertise that is available to us in order to make this selection. Millions of dollars are at stake, and the accuracy of our vote, the integrity of our vote, and the confidence in the people that their vote will actually be counted is at stake. To not take advantage of the expertise that is available to us is reckless. So I urge you once again that you are the full stop because you approve the expenditure of these millions of dollars. I believe it is your duty to make sure that you spend our money as expeditiously, as effectively, and as prudently as possible. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Braden Summers. I'm a 7th grader at John H. Walker Middle School in Nutley, New Jersey. Good evening. My name is Braden Summers. I'm a 7th grader in John H. Walker Middle School in Nutley, New Jersey, and a cadet in Girl Scouts. I am here tonight to speak out about a very important topic. I started my researching the harmful effects of single-use plastic bags about 1 year ago as a project for my Silver Award. The more I became educated about the harmful effects, the more determined I was to bring awareness and approach my municipal leaders to explore options for change to reduce or eliminate the use of single-use plastic bags. I launched a town-wide online survey and discovered that in Nutley alone, the local ShopRite orders over 4 million single-use plastic bags every year. Our CVS orders 400,000 and Rite Aid orders 120,000. New Jersey uses about 4.5 billion, yes billion, single-use plastic bags every year, and fewer than 5% are recycled. You do the math on that. The bags that are not recycled and are exposed to sunlight break down into hazardous microplastics and contaminate our food chain and end up in our drinking water. Research done by Montclair State University found that litter in towns along the Passaic River like Clifton, Nutley, and Belleville consists largely of single-use plastics, of which become floatable debris in New Jersey's rivers and flows into the ocean. I come here as an ambassador of the #BYORB Nutley, Bring Your Own Reusable Bag Nutley initiative, and been speaking out at the board meetings, at local civic organizations meetings, and farmers markets to bring awareness and to fight for our waterways, rivers, and streams that are becoming dumpsters. The most recent example was a whale that washed ashore in the Philippines that died after consuming 88 pounds of plastic. Plastic is harmful in every stage of its life cycle. My local and state leaders need to put people and the planet before profit. Countless cities and states are combating plastic pollution by phasing out items like plastic bags, straws, and styrofoam in order to address our throwaway culture. It's time to stand up for a greener planet and the freedom to break free from plastic. Over 20 towns in New Jersey have already passed ordinances or introduced ordinances that eliminate or reduce single-use plastics. Most recently, Woodland Park, Maplewood, South Orange, and Montclair. So what can we do now? Voluntarily reject the plastic bags at the checkout counter. Bring your own reusable bags. I introduced a community partnership program with Trucks Decking Company to my local leaders. Trucks Decking is a composite decking manufacturer that wants the plastic that we are throwing away in the trash. They will provide up to 10 collection boxes to distribute around each town to drop off all kinds of plastic bags and film.
Mr. President, may I ask if you indulge and use your presidential privilege to give this young lady extra time?
They will provide up to 10 collection boxes to distribute around each town to drop off all kinds of plastic bags and film, including grocery bags, bread bags, plastic wrap, dry cleaning bags, newspaper sleeves, ice bags, wood pellet bags, Ziploc bags, produce bags, and bubble wrap. The plastic is gathered from the bins and sent to trucks from collection sites such as Kohl's, Stop and Shop, and Target, and our plastic becomes earth-friendly composite decking and railing. A 30-gallon trash bag will hold about 650 plastic bags or 8 pounds of plastic. Nothing is impossible if you have adequate education and promotion. The transition from single-use to reusable can be hard at first, but might find some neighbors, friends, and retailers reluctant to change. It's important to hear others' ideas, but also to persevere. It's time we follow examples of New York and California. San Francisco banned the sale of plastic water bottles. Ultimately, once old habits are replaced, consumers are happy about and proud to tote their goods responsibly. Now is the time to usher in a new wave of social responsibility. Our crazy for plastic world has caught up with us, and we need to take action today, right now. Thank you.
To explain what you have there?
This is reusable bags donated from Mayor Scarpelli, the mayor of Nutley.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good job.
If I may, young lady, where did she go? Oh. The organization that you reference, who's going to put the bins around, have they picked out certain towns, or how can other towns participate?
Well, I haven't asked them yet because I haven't got full permission from the commissioner of Nutley.
Okay.
So, but they could, as I said, they could go to Kohl's or Stop and Shop, anywhere around town, even ShopRite and stuff, and CVS. To get
Thank
the
you
bins.
so much.
You're
I'll
welcome.
be in touch.
Thank you. Oh, and Parsippany's doing it also.
Thank you much.
Thank you very much.
Before you start the clock, there's a little bit of confusion here because the agenda states that there's supposed to be a public hearing about the zoo, and yet I don't see any zoo people here to talk to. There's supposed to be questions and answers being given about the zoo. And this is supposed to be an official hearing for an application that the zoo is making for more Green Acres funding.
So just a point of personal privilege, ma'am. There are items related to the zoo which are on the agenda. This is a public meeting where we will take action on that agenda item, and there will be representatives both from the zoo and vendors who will be appearing before us before the board votes on those items.
This evening? Will they be here?
It's on the agenda. Do you have a copy of tonight's agenda?
Yes, it is. It says public hearing for the zoo, for Green Acres for the zoo, yes.
It's not. Which item are you referring to, ma'am?
Oh, I'm sorry. Public hearing, it's under J, public hearing for Green Acres multi-parks application.
Second reading.
Second reading, yes, correct. So it's on second reading. Madam Clerk, we just want to give some clarification before we open it up. I just want to make sure we understand. Can I just clear that up? Before I show Council.
This is an odd, Michael Parlavecchio, this is an odd thing that we're having this public hearing. It's not second reading. This is just a requirement for a public hearing
as required by NJDEP. It is a public hearing in that there's an opportunity for questions and answers, but no vote is required. The board has already voted on this item and approved it for the application, but NJDEP did contact the administration to say that as part of this application, a public hearing is also required. So while it's in the agenda, we don't have a section for this type of discrete activity of just a public hearing, but it is listed under second reading and public hearing. It is a public hearing, but no vote is necessary.
Sally Malenga, West Orange. I want to state that I believe that this public hearing is defective without having any zoo people here to answer questions about the budget, about what the plan is. I mean, how can we discuss an application for millions of dollars without having details? So we will make public comment, but we're objecting to this as being considered a public hearing on this application. What do you have any response?
Mr. Parlavecchio, can you come back to the microphone, please?
At this point in the meeting, this is just called public comment session on any item under the sun. Once public comment session is done, then there will be a separate public hearing on that issue that you're talking about, the Green Acres Multi-Parks application. So at that time, and I do see at stage right, there are people from the Parks Department here. So they will be here available for questions and answers.
So when would you like public comment to be made on that application?
So
Now or then?
later. You're free to make public comment on anything you want. It's just not a question and answer at this point. When that part of the meeting comes, then you'll have an opportunity for questions and answers.
And public comment.
Correct.
Thank you. I've been told to take my 3 minutes. Sally Malenga, West Orange. Members of the board, I'm representing the New Jersey League of Humane Voters, a statewide group of voters, and I'm a West Orange resident, of course, who believe that legislation providing basic rights to animals and their habitat is crucial in an advanced society. Over 7,000 people have signed the petition requesting no further development of the South Mountain Reservation of the Turtleback Zoo. Very few people have come out to protest the zoo's activities, but now people are starting to take notice. They are going too far, and that's why a number of us are here. Essex County has become enamored of growing the zoo, bringing in more exotic wildlife and cloaking it in the veneer of conservation. This is antiquated and unsustainable. I'm here to formally object to this application to build a Bears of North America exhibit for the following reasons. The deadline has passed to submit applications to Green Acres. The public hearings have been created in such a way as to arouse suspicion that the zoo is avoiding scrutiny and criticism. A 5 p.m. hearing in West Orange on March 20th and a 7 p.m. hearing in Bloomfield, far away from West Orange residents. Green Acres is prohibited from funding projects with excessive tree cutting, and the zoo is cutting trees like crazy. Cars coming from the south disturb the entire reservation in order to get to the zoo. This intrudes on the passive use of the park. The original intent of South Mountain Reservation as a passive and peaceful park is being changed. Even though it's a 28-acre piece that houses the zoo, the light shows, the music, the promotions are preventing the peaceful and original intent of the use of this reservation. I'm objecting to the funding of the zoo by Green Acres. This is an enterprise that keeps captive animals and stretches the intent of the Green Acres program. I object that the zoo will use taxpayer dollars to obtain a bear from Canada or Montana by some means of death to its family and truck it or fly it to West Orange, where it will be denied its right to live in freedom, fishing and hunting as it does, and put on display for roaming groups of children while the zoo calls itself a savior of animals. As the world is plunged into climate change, Spending limited tax dollars on a 3-acre bear exhibit is wrong. It's embarrassing, it's dishonorable. Imagine the benefits to residents and wildlife if the tens of millions of dollars already spent on the zoo were instead used to acquire habitat for these rare species. To leave you with a positive suggestion, we would support an acre or more without tree cutting of a pollinator exhibition. Pollinators need our help. We have 4,000 species of bees native to North America. They mostly don't sting, and butterflies need habitat. I suggest that we all consider a native plant maze where people can visit, observe, and learn about pollinators. Thank you for listening.
Good evening. My name is Phil Kirsch from Millburn, and it seems like we didn't come here as a group, but it seems that there's a lot of similar sentiment out, because I was alerted to the ordinance before the board to authorize funding for projects, including a new bear exhibit at the Turtleback Zoo, and I'm not nearly as specific in detail as the previous speaker, but I do have a take on this, maybe a more general one. To me, the expenditure is not the main issue, though I would rather see the funds, especially at this point in our continued overdevelopment, used exclusively to preserve land in its natural state or to improve potentially unsafe areas in the reservation, like the structures over and around Campbell's Pond. And I will leave the pros and cons of keeping animals in any type of zoo to others to discuss. I love the zoo and its iconic train, and so does my grandson, as did my children before him. However, I've become very concerned that too much of a good thing is very soon going to compromise recreation in the whole of our beautiful and precious South Mountain Reservation, roil its traffic, and irretrievably spoil its natural qualities and availability to all county residents. It never was meant to be and should not become a stampeded Bronx Zoo or destination venue. And there will be no turning back as it approaches that scale. Turtleback has become justifiably popular, as evidenced by the need for yet another parking garage, which even on existing zoo land means more impermeable surface, more auto emissions in the reservation, and even more traffic and more crowds. It's wonderful that so many people like the zoo and that we who live locally can share it with them. But if we continue to build more attractions and more parking garages and even more roads, take up more space and take down more trees, either inside or out of the zoo proper, we are changing the nature of both the zoo and the preserve it inhabits in a way that is not recoverable. If there is any lesson in where we find ourselves in a time of climate change and extreme weather brought on by our own achievements and abilities, it is that these become indulgences when we don't realize where we should stop. And this is definitely one of those instances. And as the young lady who spoke very eloquently brought up the idea of just changing habits and changing the whole way we view things in the environment because of where we are right now, I think we need to just stop and say that, while it's very unpopular to stop something like the zoo, which is very popular, we have to look at it in the overall scheme and that it probably is time to stop. Thank you.
Stacy Gregg, Morris County. I am here to speak about the prison and the ICE detention center in Elizabeth, New Jersey. Before that, I want to bring up what the young lady spoke about. When I was a little bit younger than her, I was 6 years old, and I'm one of the original children, or maybe one of the last, who actually had a ride on one of the turtles. We found out, I'm 57. So I was 6 years old and I rode one of those turtles, and we learned to do things differently. It harms the turtles. And I'm ashamed that I possess a picture of me riding on one of those big turtles. When you know better, you do better. Right now in the state of New Jersey, Governor Murphy promised to have a moratorium to stop the bear hunts. I'm hearing about bears. I did not come here today to hear about the zoo, but the hypocrisy. I'm not seeing any of you out there stopping the bear hunts or writing letters, but you're going to spend money on trying to cage one. Talking about cages, that'll lead me into my reason for being here. We have a president in the White House that in the last few days is denying that, I know you shook your head there, it's not funny. I know you don't agree with me. I don't appreciate the sarcasm and the people not looking at me, but we are caging people in Essex County. History's not going to look kind on us in 50 years. In 5 years, it's not going to look good on us. It's a shame. Many of us are losing sleep. We were lied to at that special meeting. We were told our answers would be we would get answers at the end. We did not get any answers. We got shuffled out the door. We're being told that the meeting's going to be next Wednesday. We were told that we would be getting answers at the end of the meeting last time, and instead we're having a special meeting, is this better? Coming up next Wednesday. I hope, I'm not going to get any answers tonight, but I hope that everyone here or anyone else sitting on those boards that you were supposed to be putting together from the community, spend a night, 24 hours in that detention center for yourselves. Thank you. I also want to know about this contract number 34. You're voting on something, I'm asking you to pull it. I'm asking you to pull anything to do with any jails. Between the last meeting and this meeting, we had somebody die in our prison somewhere in Essex County. I don't know if it was the county level or if it was the detention center. But we have a president who said he's responsible for stopping the separation of families. Facts matter. The facts are going to come out. It's not funny. It's a horrible time in history. I'm sorry you're all serving as Democrats. I don't think there's any Republicans on here. But as Democrats, you need to show the country how to do it better. What are we doing different here that's more humane and saving the dignity of the people that are being separated from their families? You have the power in your hands. I want to hear solutions. I want to hear what you've done, and I want to hear that you spent 24 hours in that detention center, each and every one of you. Thank you for listening.
Good evening, I'm Janet Pizar. I live in Millburn, New Jersey. Pizar. We are landholders in the South Mountain Reservation. I was also very concerned with this ongoing encroachment of the reservation, and I had heard many things about the intent of the reservation, but I decided I really wanted to learn for myself. So I went down to Essex County's Park Recreation and Cultural Affairs, met with a lovely gentleman there who helped me with the research, and he also gave me what looked like an original publication. It was so old, it was so tattered, and the only reason he gave it to me was because they had duplicates. So as I read that publication, I saw that this was indeed intended to be a very calm, tranquil piece of property for passive recreation. From the respite of the urban area and the hustle and the bustle, it's almost something to keep us sane when we try to survive in this environment. The reservation is a natural resource. The reservation is a publicly owned natural resource, and publicly owned natural resources are held in trust for the people. When you have one person making decisions for a natural resource, that's ownership. A natural resource cannot be owned. You need to understand that we are stakeholders. Everybody here in the county is a stakeholder of this beautiful, beautiful 2,000-acre parcel of land that has existed since 1895 and earlier. It was to be held in perpetuity. It was supposed to be preserved in perpetuity. And we see what is happening little by little by little, the encroachment. Actually, it's not so little by little. There's been some huge encroachment on this beautiful land. We wonder, when will it end? When will it end? 2,000 acres seems like a lot. And as we move forward with even more development and confiscation of open places, 2,000 acres may seem so immense that you can again encroach on more of it and take more of a piece of it, until maybe someday with so much development, 500 open acres is going to seem like a lot. Please, when will it end? I'm also very much against the expansion of the Turtleback Zoo for many reasons, but I want to focus on the reservations because many people enjoy them just as it is right now. beautiful, open, natural spaces. Thank you very much.
My name's Christina Helms, and I live in West Orange. And I just want to add to what many of the people before me just said about the expansion of the zoo into the South Mountain Reservation, and also the massive traffic problem that this has brought to our town. I live 2 blocks from Northfield, and it now takes 20 minutes on a Saturday to get to Livingston, which is about 2 miles away. And because of all the traffic on Northfield, there are people who now shortcut through my St. Cloud neighborhood and where my kids ride their bikes, and it's really out of control. And I also, with my kids, like to go to the reservation and my dogs. And over the past 10 years, I've seen the zoo just backing up, and taking away all of our hiking trails and the beautiful old trees. And it just seems a little short-sighted and bizarre to me to take away the habitat for the natural wildlife of the area to build an enclosure for an animal that should be in the wild. Thank you very much.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Kimberly Warner Cohen. I'm a West Orange resident. I left my toddler at home tonight because I feel so I left my toddler at home tonight because I feel so strongly about this issue. We are constantly told there's no money for our roads, schools, clean water, or humane treatment of asylum seekers in detention centers. However, now we're told there's $10 million to pave over more of South Mountain for what amounts to yet another vanity project, on top of $8 million for the zoo's entrance. It's an obscene expenditure. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Carol Schlitt. I'm a resident of West Orange, and I've lived here for 18 years. And when I first moved to West Orange, one of the first things I did with my little boy was to join, as a member, the Turtleback Zoo. And we went there very, very often, and we loved it. We don't go there anymore because now it is so expensive that it would cost as much as our membership when we first joined for our family to go to the Turtleback Zoo. In addition, it's growing by leaps and bounds. They're adding more and more of the animals that are not well adapted or well suited to the Turtleback Zoo. For example, the giraffe that died very recently was added to the Turtleback Zoo, and it's not working. Now they're talking about a grizzly bear. A grizzly bear needs between 70 and 500 miles of space. We don't have that kind of room in this area, and they're putting in a 3-acre enclosure for a grizzly bear. It's not going to work. In addition, it's taking down large, beautiful trees. I walk almost every day the reservoir that we have that is near the Turtleback Zoo. And on my last walk, I counted 69 trees that are going to be taken down because they are dead or dying. The overdevelopment is actually killing trees, and trees are dying and are being destroyed instead of open space. Green Acres, the purpose of it is to give us the open space. People moved here because of that. They want to have undeveloped natural resources. It's the reason we're in this community. Don't take away open space to create a commercial venture which is going to make money for our county executive. And it's his big project. We understand that, but it's not what the people in this community want. So we are here, neighbors and friends and concerned citizens, asking you to deny the application of Green Acres for the expansion and overdevelopment of the Turtleback Zoo. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Freeholders. Before you start the clock, could I ask as a point of order, if we have a comment on an agenda item, can we also comment separately as an open public comment? Is that correct? Okay, then I would just like to speak to agenda item 34. My name is Whitney Strube. I'm from Newark. And this is about the contract award to Keefe Commissary Network for the operation of the Essex County Commissary at the correctional facility, exercising a 2-year contract option. And the reason I want to speak to this is because, as many people in the room know, you have lost a lot of public trust over the abusive practices that are going on in the Essex County Detention Center in regard to immigrant detention, as well as pretrial criminal detainees who have recently died. And so in regard to agenda item number 34, I wanted to ask a couple of questions, and I would like formal comment on this in writing. I would like to know if the freeholders are aware that Keefe Commissary Network recently, in January of 2019, paid a settlement in the state of Mississippi of $3.1 million as part of a group of contractors who had bribed the state prison director and were held liable for that. So A, is that something the freeholders had been aware of? B, if so, had you discussed it? I'd like a sort of account of what kind of conversations you might have had about the fact that you are contracting with a corrupt commissary provider. And then finally, I'd like to know, because a lot of prison activists believe that one of the primary sites of exploitation of incarcerated people in the United States comes from markup of goods that they are sold in commissaries, where they are basically literally captive purchasers. And so I'd like to know what percent the goods that are sold in the commissary, both to detainees and inmates, what the markup is for the detainees and inmates. I would like that all in writing. Thank you.
Good evening, Freeholders. My name is Mary Rizzo, and I am a resident of Newark, New Jersey. And as many times before, I am here tonight to talk to you about the contract with ICE. Before I get to that, though, I have to say that I am really pleased to hear so many people here tonight speaking out against the expansion of the zoo. I didn't expect that, and I agree completely with them. They have a lot of reasons for not wanting the zoo to expand. One of the ones that I would add is that the reason why the zoo can expand is because this county is making money off of the detention of human beings who have committed no crime at the Essex County Jail. We don't know or at least the public does not know exactly how much of those profits are being funneled to things like the expansion of the zoo, but it is very clear to us that the caging of humans is now going to lead to the caging of exotic animals for public consumption. The other thing that I think is really interesting about the comments that we've heard so far is that there's a clear indication here that the people in this room want public space for the public to use. And that brings me to one of the points that I wanted to make. This past Sunday, a group of activists, including myself and several people who were here, went to the Branchbrook Park Cherry Blossom 10K run. We were there to protest Essex County's contract with ICE. We were peaceful protesters, we had signs, and we chanted. We saw Essex County Executive Joe DiVincenzo, who has refused to speak with us at every possible point, so we approached him merely to talk. We were immediately surrounded by sheriff's officers who corralled us, including the sheriff himself, Armando Fontoura, who became so enraged he was literally almost spitting at us and saying things like, you're going to be arrested if you move. And when we asked what law we were breaking, said, you'll find out when we arrest you. We were told we were not allowed to walk on public property. We were corralled and put behind barricades. We were told that we were a threat to public safety, and when we said that we were not a threat to public safety, we were then told that we were actually being protected from runners who might jump out of the race to go and attack us. So what I want to say to you all is this the image of Essex County that you want in front of the public? And we were tweeting and Facebook posting about this, and I was very pleased that Matt Katz, the WNYC reporter, picked up on our tweets and helped to amplify our message, including video of these incidents. I want to close with a couple of questions to shift gears a little bit, to follow up on my colleague Whitney Stroob's questions. I want to ask about the kitchen contract for the Essex County Detention Facility. I want to know, are detainees employed in the kitchen? If so, how much are they paid? And finally, if they are being paid, how much does using detainee labor save the vendor who is being given a contract by the county to provide kitchen services? Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Jesse Rosso. I'm with the North New Jersey Democratic Socialists of America, and I would just want to give a little bit more information about what happened on Sunday. So we had seen the county executive. We gave him, a considerable amount of distance, and we voiced our grievances when the sheriff's department immediately swooped in. They told us that we weren't allowed to be there. I saw the sheriffs, multiple sheriffs kind of corralling our group, so I decided to take it upon myself to be police liaison. So I interjected myself, and I explained to the sheriffs that actually that we had a right to be there. We weren't here to disturb the race. We weren't here to interrupt the race. He immediately said that we weren't allowed to be there because we were in an active roadway. Meanwhile, dozens of people were in the street, but he clearly didn't care about them. He was just 100% focused on us. So then I was like, okay, well, we'll move out of the street and we'll go onto the sidewalk. And they were like, no, 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 we need you over, across the way, pretty much out of sight, out of mind, away from everyone. And this is actually our second year of protesting a run at Branchbrook Park. The previous year, we never, the Sheriff's Department created a barrier between us and Joe D. That seemed reasonable enough. But this time, they actually held us in one place. And when people wanted to move, I guess, a little bit closer to where the finish and starting line was, the sheriffs didn't let us move. Pretty much any interaction with the Sheriff Fontoura, I'm a Hudson County resident, so I'm not familiar with him. I didn't know who he was because he was so belligerent. I couldn't imagine that he was, the elected sheriff. He was barking at people. Pretty much, I spoke to someone, I guess, someone who under him, and they were, reasonable, and they were trying to work with us, and they wanted us to move. But he was completely belligerent. All he kept saying is, "I'm going to get the arrest wagon. I'm going to get the arrest wagon." So, we had it was a family event. We weren't looking to create civil disobedience. So I feel that our First Amendment rights were definitely violated. It was completely inexcusable the way the sheriff interacted with us, and I guess it just shows you what's the situation in Essex County. Yeah, time's up for Essex County.
Hi, I'm Sophia Cutler. I am a member of the North Jersey Democratic Socialists of America, and I'm also a teacher in Newark, and I'm here to speak against the ICE contract. I'm not here to speak about the moldy bread or the rancid meat or the immorality of detaining immigrants without criminal offenses for fleeing violence or seeking a better life. I'm not here to talk about that. After coming to you with these details month after month and looking at your blank faces, I know those moral arguments don't work. So I'm here to appeal to your material interests, not your moral ones. I am part of the Democratic Socialists of America. We have helped elect numerous politicians to office, all running on anti-ICE campaigns, including most notably Alejandro Ocasio-Cortez. Last week, we helped elect 4 socialists to city council in Chicago, crumbling the neoliberal democratic machine there, and we will do that here. So you might consider my comrades and I some fringe leftists who don't understand the art of realpolitik, but the tides in this country are shifting in our favor. The ICE contract has been overwhelmingly the #1 resident issue at every freeholder meeting I have gone to. And when my comrades and I went to protest Joe DiVincenzo and his ICE contract, we were greeted with tremendous support from the community. So if you do not end the ICE contract and adequately represent your community, we will come after your seats. Absolutely. Thank you.
So good evening, all. My name is Don McLaughlin. I'm a resident of Montclair, and I'm also the vice chair of the Board of Trustees of the Brookdale Park Conservancy. And I wanted to address a different part of the Green Acres application. On behalf of the Conservancy, I just wanted to say that wanted to express our public support for that part of the Green Acres application. We were very pleased to learn that a portion of that is going towards improving the 4 ball fields that are in the park. Those fields get an awful lot of use, and the reality is that at this point in time, those fields are just plain worn out. I was actually out in the park today and took another look around, and you can see the worn and rocky infields. You can see the mud and the uneven terrain and all manner of ankle twisters out in the outfields. You know, some of the seating is rusted and bent and broken. So clearly, these important assets in Brookdale Park are past their prime and need certainly a major renovation and an overhaul. To help with the application, you know, the Conservancy had, just so you know, had offered to sign a letter of support, you know, for the project. We put it to a vote of our Board of Trustees, and well, 3 of them weren't available to vote, but of the 9 who were available to vote, we backed it unanimously and thought you would like to know that. You know, over the years, the county and Green Acres have put some real money and real effort into Brookdale Park, for which we thank you, and those projects have met with a lot of success, and we hope that this latest investment in the park is ultimately approved in the process. So to our county executive, to you and the Board of Chosen Freeholders, to our Department of Parks and Recreation and Cultural Affairs, you know, we thank you for your ongoing support of Brookdale. We thank you for thinking of us and including the ball fields in your latest planning and in your application to Green Acres. We look forward to seeing the end result. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, freeholders. My name is Alejandro Jaramillo, and I am from Cosecha, Newark. And thank you for responding to my letter the other day that I was here about the ICE contract that Essex County has, but your response still is inconclusive. In your letter, you say that you will take comments from the public in the next meeting talking about this issue. So I am asking again, formally, I need a response. When are you going to end the ICE contract? Secondly, also, I want to make a formal complaint against the sheriff. As our colleague says, on Sunday, he violated our First Amendment rights, our freedom of speech, our freedom of assembly rights. Just to give you an example, we were walking on the walkway, right? And then he came at that velocity on his car, drove over the grass, stepped on the walkway about 10 feet away from us, got out of the car. We got really scared because I thought he was going to run over all of us. And there were also senior citizens with us, right? And then he got out of the car and he says, I'm going to call Evan and I'm going to have you all arrested if you keep walking. And then when I asked why, he said, because of public safety. So in his mind, we were very peaceful, but he was making us believe that we were a threat to public safety, right? And then I kept saying, why? And he said, it's because you are overdoing it. I don't know what he meant by overdoing it. We are protesting against Joe D. I think we got to keep protesting as much as we can and get this contract canceled. There is no overdoing it. Another example, when we were in the section that they set us for us to stay, I needed to go to the bathroom. In order for me to go to the bathroom, one of the sheriff officers was escorting me. I asked him, why am I doing wrong? He said, oh, I haven't checked your bag. I said, check it now. He refused to check it. I said, why are you following me? He said, because of public safety. He went with me to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom. He stayed there. When I got out of the bathroom, he went back with me, to where we were. So I felt, is this a dictator? Is this North Korea? Right? Secondly, I want to meet my family, right? That they were about 400 feet from where we were. Just to meet them, they were seeing the race. The officers told me that I couldn't walk on the walkway to meet my family. Otherwise, I will be arrested. And that I needed to leave the park and enter about half a mile further and re-enter the park. I say, why? I say, because you are protesting, right? So this is really a violation to our freedom of speech and our freedom of assembly. And I would like a formal response as, who do I write to make a complaint about the sheriff? Thank you.
Hello. Hello, Mr. President. Hello, Freeholder Board. My name is Avez Kazi. I'm from Newark, New Jersey. And I've been here a few times. And I just want to make something very clear to you guys. You all are complicit in one of the worst actions of the Trump administration. The Trump administration has done so many incredibly awful things, but this is by far, the actions that they've taken with Homeland Security and the actions that they've taken with ICE are by far some of the worst actions that they've taken, and you guys are all complicit because of your inaction. We need to see action on these ICE contracts. We don't need to participate in what our government is doing on a federal level. We need to show that we are Democrats and that we are leaders and that we can bring about change in our district. And you guys aren't doing that. You guys aren't even discussing potential viable options of getting rid of this contract. We had a meeting with Freeholder Mercado right here, and he said that you guys have not even thought about eventually getting rid of this ICE contract and finding a new way to bring money into Essex so we can continue with what we're doing. You guys haven't even thought about it. I also brought up the idea of giving these people that are in these facilities ankle monitors and letting them go and letting them spend time with their families. And I was told that you guys hadn't even thought of that. So what are you guys doing here? You guys are complicit. You guys are acting in the interest of the Trump administration. By all means, you are pretty much part of what they're doing. And I don't think you guys want to be seen as part of that. I don't think you want to be remembered in the history books as part of some of the most heinous actions that our administration has been taking, but that's where you guys are right now. So you guys need to have your meetings and talk about actual actions that you can take so that we can make a statement here in Essex County saying we reject the Trump administration's policies on Homeland Security. We reject everything that it stands for. That's what we need to say. And Essex County gets some of the largest funding in New Jersey from ICE compared to the other districts. So if we said no to their money, imagine the statement that's going to make. We can bring pride to Essex County. We can do something that changes the national conversation around this issue. We can be leaders. And that's what I think you guys want to do. I strongly believe that you guys want to be leaders and you want to take charge on some of the issues that affect all of us. And we can set an example for the rest of our country, but we are not doing that. So anything that happens in these facilities, we saw the reports about the gun that was found in the facility. We saw the reports about the food. Anything that happens in the future in these facilities, you are complicit. You are part of the reason why this continues to happen. You are not taking action, and you need to do something. You need to start by just having these conversations. You need to have more public hearings, and you need to talk about what is going on here and bring leadership to Essex County. That's what we need from Democrats. And if you're not going to do it, then I echo the calls of the woman from the DSA. We are going to get people to run against you. We are going to get people to run against anyone who's not taking action, and we'll get into office and do it ourselves. That is what I tell you. You are complicit. Thank you.
Good evening. I think the message tonight from a lot of the speakers is about how much power each of you has and how much of a difference you could make in all of our lives and in the policies that are being perpetrated in this county. My name is Joyce Rudin. I'm a resident of West Orange, and I live a few miles away from the zoo. I object to this application because I believe that Green Acres public dollars should be used to buy land, not to house large and sometimes dangerous animals in exhibition cages. Bears are long-living animals that live in diverse habitats. Their home range can cover thousands of miles. Studies show that bears fare very poorly in captivity and spend much of the day pacing, walking in tight circles, swaying or rolling their heads, and demonstrating psychological distress. Bears do not need artificial rocks or concrete floors. They need wide open spaces, forests, and freedom. Bears also naturally hibernate. How would this be accomplished in a zoo? The addition of bears to our local zoo could also be dangerous. All you have to do is go online and Google bears, danger, zoos. There are numerous reports of bears that have mauled visitors and even small children. I also object to this application due to the negative impact on traffic on our neighborhood roads. The roads around the zoo are already deeply congested. Adding this exhibit will only drive more traffic to our township. The off-site impact is huge and should be anticipated, and according to the application guidelines, a traffic study should be part of the application itself. I must say that I am at a loss because even though this application was due March 30th and was supposed to be up on the Green Acres website, it is not. So neither I nor any of the other speakers who have come to discuss the zoo have actually seen the application. There are also impacts of waste management from the bears and its effect on our local water system that could have a devastating impact on West Orange
30
residents.
seconds.
With limited funds in Green Acres, it's important to choose projects that are good for the environment and enhance the quality of life of our residents. This grizzly bear proposal neither preserves land nor enhances the quality of life for the bears or for the residents of West Orange. I urge that you pull this Green Acres application.
Good evening. My name is Yael Weber. I'm an Essex County resident. I'm here once again, as I have been many times before, to protest our complicity with the Trump immigration agenda and to demand that we end the ICE contract. I hate coming to these meetings. I hate getting up here to speak. I hate addressing people who stare back at me unresponding or who look at their phones ignoring me. I'm actually terrified of speaking in public. I would 1,000 times rather be home right now, having dinner with my family, reading some books, putting my kids to bed. But I know that there are an awful lot of people unjustly held in immigration detention right here in Essex County who would also rather be home right now, eating dinner with their families, reading some books, putting their kids to bed. So here I am. Recently, President Trump said that America is full. We have no more room for immigrants, particularly brown immigrants. I'm no historian, but this sounds to me an awful lot like what we were telling Jewish refugees in the 1930s. It sounds pretty similar to what the refugees on the St. Louis heard before they were sent back to Europe, where many of them died. American nativism has a long and very ugly history. Right now, Essex County is actively supporting the human rights catastrophe that is the Trump immigration policy. I'm told that we are allocating $750,000 to a fund to provide legal representation to immigrant detainees. That's very nice. But it's a tiny percentage of the revenue that we get from incarcerating immigrants, and it's not nearly enough to fund universal representation. More importantly, it does nothing to address the fact that as long as we hold this contract, Essex County has a powerful incentive to incarcerate immigrants. I was extremely disappointed at the ICE subcommittee hearing last month that, contrary to what I had been told beforehand, none of the questions or concerns that were raised by the public were addressed. I've now been told that the committee will be presenting its findings in a report next week. I hope that every single question asked and concern raised by constituents at that hearing will be directly addressed in this report. Frankly, though, I am not holding my breath. I look forward to hearing the report.
Good afternoon, freeholders. Once again, my name is Whitney Strube from Newark, and this is the general comment I wanted to make. I just have 3 news stories I want to call your attention to. I also want to signal boost what my friends and comrades have been saying. I was also at the protest. I was also threatened, I think illegally, with arrest for no crime. I tried to walk up the sidewalk, actually, to watch the end of the race. I was carrying no banner. I was just walking on my own. An officer stopped me, told me I'd be arrested if I tried to walk up the sidewalk. I pulled out my camera, started filming him, and said, "So you said I'll be arrested?" And he refused to repeat it on film. He stood there like this and said, "You made your choice." And I was like, what is this, Dirty Harry? I mean, it was ridiculous. I have the video. I'm happy to share it with you. I posted one of them on Instagram. I have another. It was an embarrassment. I'm not ignorant of my rights, but I decided it wasn't worth getting cuffed and arrested to prove a point. But it was a pretty shameful moment in civil liberties in Essex County. But the 3 things I actually want to call attention to are 3 news articles. One, I think you may have seen, and I hope you did, North Jersey, April 9th, ICE arrests 123 in a month-long operation in New Jersey. They claim that these are criminals. We know they lie. We know about 20-year-old Manny Othats, whose life was destroyed, sent back to Uruguay because he smoked a joint. We know about Dane Foster, who's been in Essex County Correctional Facility over a joint. When ICE says a crime, they want us to think MS-13. We know they're lying. And so, even just some basic math, say 100 of these people go to Essex County Detention Center, say they stay for 10 days, say round what you make down to $100 a night, that's $100,000. We know it's more than that. You're making incredible money off of the punitive violence that ICE is inflicting, and that's why we oppose this. The second thing I want to call your attention to is Orange County, California, which just ended its contract with ICE. You may have seen March 27th in the Orange County Register, Freedom for Immigrants, the leading activist group there, which is a lot like First Friends here in New Jersey, expressed concerns about the current detainees because we know instead of releasing them, ICE may be punitive toward them for no reason, but nonetheless, Freedom for Immigrants said they welcomed the decision to terminate the contract. They recognize that it is a victory for immigrant rights to extricate oneself from working with ICE, and in fact, ICE in Orange County said, quote, "This will negatively impact local ICE operations." That's the point. That's what we want. We want to negatively impact ICE's cruelty. And then finally, April 5th, the Philadelphia Inquirer. I don't know if you saw this story, but ICE in Philly actually made a concession to activists and said it would stop doing arrests in courtrooms, which is a victory. And so I want to ask you, have you made similar demands on ICE's conduct in New Jersey? We know that the Newark field office makes disproportionate non-criminal arrests. Have you demanded that they use, like Aved said, ankle bracelets rather than incarceration for non-criminal civil offenders who are simply guilty of status violations? And if you haven't, and then again, that is a formal request, I would like to know whether you've made those demands. Have you considered them, and will you do that? Will you make demands on ICE to curtail its racist violence here in Essex County?
Good evening, everyone. This is all new to me. My name is Pamela McElvin. I'm with the Palm Tree Block Association. We are a non-profit organization. I came here with a list of concerns with Bellsburg Park, but I did have the opportunity. My name is Pamela McElvin. I'm with the Palm Tree Block Association. We are a nonprofit organization. I came here with a list of things to speak about our park, Bellsburg Park, which I feel has been neglected for a while. And I have a lot of concerns because you have the schools there, our seniors there, But I did get the opportunity tonight to speak to Mr. Daniels, who is willing to sit down, and we're going to talk about things that could be done about the park. So I just want to let you guys know, once we have this conversation, this meeting, I hope everything will go well because they need a lot of work there at the park. I thank you.
Hi, my name is Carrie Gordon. I'm from Maplewood, New Jersey. We constantly see money being thrown at the zoo for exotic animals and parking decks, fancy entrances, grizzly bear extensions, while people are held in miserable conditions in the Essex County Correctional Facility, conditions which were detailed in the report from the Department of Homeland Security. Essex County is constantly pointing out the AAA bond rating when we know those profits come from detaining people for ICE and our mass incarceration system. While the news is filled with reports of children being separated from families, Homeland Security spying on immigration activists and journalists, our own county is profiting from this system. New Jersey is a blue state, and Essex County is the bluest county. Meanwhile, Essex County is one of the most economically segregated places in the country. In fact, Essex County ranks 19th highest out of all counties in the nation. New Jersey has the highest foreclosure rate in the country, and Essex County has the most foreclosures in New Jersey. I'm distorted. Essex County has the highest homeless population in New Jersey at 24%. Essex County has the most intensely segregated school districts in the state, containing half of all apartheid schools in New Jersey, and the most districts where 100% of schools are intensely segregated. And not surprisingly, New Jersey also has the worst black-white youth incarceration rate in the country. None of this is lesser evil. We need you to end your silence on the county jail contracts with ICE. Investigate conditions in the jails, support meaningful community oversight of the jails, support legal representation for all people detained by ICE in New Jersey, support formal community visitation programs in the jail, and please stop profiting from ICE detention and mass incarceration. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Laura Farrell, and I live in Maplewood, New Jersey. And I'm here also to ask you to end the contract with ICE. What Donald Trump has been doing with immigration is inhumane, horrifying, and to think that our own Democratic elected officials are cooperating with this policy, I don't know what to say except that it's shameful and painful to watch this going on. So many people want this to end. Like another woman who spoke, I don't want to be here. I'd rather be home as well. I don't like coming to these meetings. I've been to meetings like this before. Many people are at home who agree with us. They are not at this meeting. But this is a terrible thing that is going on with the ICE contract, that we are profiting from housing people in inhumane conditions, people who have done nothing criminal. We really want this contract with ICE to end, and for the Democratic Party in Essex County to stop its complicity with the Trump administration.
I want to speak on agenda item 34. My name is Jesse Rosso. I'm with the North New Jersey Democratic Socialists of America. And especially after what we heard what's going on with the food situation in the Essex County Jail, the commissary is set to set to clean up with making a lot of money because people cannot eat this inadequate food. We've heard stories of women being denied sanitary napkins, and this is a double-edged. This is it saves the county money, and then it also benefits the commissary because they can. And not only does it benefit the commissary, it also incentivizes the detainees to work in the jail in order to make their, and I think we heard that they made $33 a week. And then when someone asked whether or not that was 8 hours, 12 hours, there was really no answer. I know in Hudson County, one of the members of what was called the Queer Detainee Empowerment Project, I might have butchered that, they had mentioned that after they were sexually assaulted in Hudson County, the guards had told them, just work to cover it up, and they had mentioned that they were working 12 hours a day mopping and sweeping floors. So this is another way of the county putting profits over people by having the workers fulfill the basic functions of the jail, and then you have a company like Keith Commissary Network, who in Jasper County and Jasper County, Texas, and then Callaway County, Missouri, opened kiosks where detainees could deposit their money into the kiosks for a fee. So it's another way of kind of bleeding these detainees. So I ask the freeholders to not vote to approve this, and look for another vendor who wasn't fined $3.1 million in bribery charges. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Bruce Essrig. I live in Madison, New Jersey. I've been taking notes, and I'd like to make a few points that I think might not have been made before. So I came to represent questions about the correctional facility, and I see you have item 34 on the agenda. I have to skip ahead. The most disturbing thing to me here is in the title, where it says revenue to the county. Under the circumstances, it seems to me injudicious for the county to accept revenue from contracts with the ICE facility. It really needs review. I hope that when it comes time to review the report in response to the ICE Inspector General's report, some consideration be given to the possibility of not taking revenue from this facility, even though the contract offers it. I was going to lead with the question, who is us? I think that's really at the root of a lot of controversy in our society right now. We have people living well, we have people living not well. And our policies, our public policies, are increasing this disparity. I would claim that it's a moral imperative for me to speak against that. I don't think it's a good idea for us to accentuate that difference. So, with regard to the freeholders, I would ask, if we're going to ask who is us, we also need to ask who do we represent and what is our responsibility. Is it incumbent upon the freeholders to maximize the revenue of the county? Take a contract, which many find offensive, and profit from that contract on behalf of the county, on behalf of the facilities. We had somebody saying baseball fields need to be upgraded. Is it incumbent upon the freeholders to act in that way on behalf of the residents of the county? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let the record reflect that there is no one else wishing to speak at this time. And also to put on the record that the penal committee will be meeting on the 17th of April at 5 p.m. in Hall of Records or in Leroy's? In the Hall of Records. And we're in 506. And as the practice, past practice, all questions will be answered in writing. And one of the many of the issues that were raised tonight have been were, I believe, addressed in my comments at the last two. Thank you, Madam Clerk. At the last Freeholder meeting, and we'll reserve further comment until the committee meeting on the 17th. Moving along, Madam Clerk, do we have any ordinances or resolutions for introduction and first reading?
Mr. President, we have not.
Madam Clerk, do we have any ordinances or resolutions for listing purposes only?
Mr. President, we have not.
Madam Clerk, do we have any ordinances or resolutions on second reading and public hearing tonight?
Mr. President, we have one public hearing for Green Acres multi-park application.
Madam Clerk, please have the administration explain. Mr. Salvati.
Good evening. Mr. President, first of all, I would just like to acknowledge Mr. Luciano. He was a participant in our Cherry Blossom event this past Sunday. Out of the 1,400 runners, he represented the Freeholder Board quite well. He completed the race, so congratulations. My name is Dan Salvante. I'm the Director of the Essex County Department of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs. This public hearing is a Green Acres requirement as part of the 2019 Green Acres application for multi-park projects. The public hearing was advertised in the Star Ledger, March 20th edition, as well as March 21st edition of the West Orange Chronicle and Bloomfield Life. I want to thank Freeholder President Brendan Gill and the entire Essex County Board of Chosen Freeholders for allowing this public hearing to take place. Since 2003, the County of Essex, along with its nonprofit partners, have been awarded over $100 million in Green Acres grant awards. These funds have helped to improve the entire Essex County park system with new athletic fields, playgrounds, walking trails, zoo improvements, and other recreational amenities in the system. In addition, the Green Acres grant funds have been used to preserve and acquire over 184 acres of open space, which included Riverfront Park, Cedar Grove Park, Kips Castle, and Presby Iris Gardens. This year, the County of Essex is applying for Green Acres funding as part of the 2019 Local Government Land Acquisition Park Development Program to complete improvements to Brookdale Park and Turtleback Zoo. These projects will enhance the recreational experience for all park users who support the Essex County Park System. The estimated cost of these two projects is $21 million. The county's application is requesting half of the amount of $10,500,000. The first one, Brookdale Park, is the third largest park in the Essex County Park System, totaling more than 121 acres. Brookdale offers to the public access to both passive and active recreational activities, as well as vistas, trails, walking, running, and rose garden. Included in Brookdale are playgrounds, sport fields, track facilities, tennis courts, an archery range, a stadium grandstand, and just one of the numerous attractions that make Brookdale Park a magnet for nature lovers, families, physical fitness enthusiasts for miles around. The stadium grandstand serves as the home of the Essex County Special Olympics track and field team. Many other events, such as our summer concert series or 4th of July fireworks, are staged at Brookdale Park. Brookdale is home to one of the largest soccer programs within the Essex County Park System. This park also houses the first dog park
which is part of the Essex County Park system. The multi-park scope of the Green Acres application includes improvements to the 4 baseball softball diamonds at Brookdale, including natural turf, landscaping, signage, safety, fencing, irrigation. These fields would improve the use for many of our athletic organizations, which include baseball, youth baseball, softball, adult softball, as well as high school sports, baseball and softball. These fields have also become home for our newest kickball leagues. Outfield areas have multi-use and are often set up for soccer, lacrosse, football, and other recreational activities. The proposed improvements will enhance the recreational usefulness of Brookdale Park, ensuring that the Essex County residents have access to quality parks within the boundaries of the community. To talk about our second grant application, I would like to call on Turtleback Zoo Director Mike Kerr.
Mike Kerr, Director of Turtleback Zoo. Good evening, Mr. President and fellow freeholders. Our Turtleback Zoo measures over 20 acres and is a significant open space property located within the footprint of the 2,110-acre South Mountain Reservation. Turtleback Zoo is one of the only zoo facilities in northern New Jersey region and offers residents of Essex County and surrounding areas an affordable, accessible zoological experience. Additionally, the zoo offers a wide variety of summer camps and educational programs during after hours and summertime and special events. The proposed North American bear exhibit will replace the current Wild New Jersey section of the zoo. The new bear exhibit will be an education and interactive exhibit on bears native to North America and will provide the public with the opportunity to learn about and view various North American bear species in a safe and protected environment. Educational and interpretive materials and signage will help guests to interact with the exhibit. The design of the exhibit will enable husbandry staff to better care for the animals, as well as bring them closer to the guests for a more interactive experience. The project will substantially enhance the visitor experience at Turtleback Zoo by providing parkgoers with opportunities to experience and learn about bear species native to North America. The exhibit will offer a new and interactive experience that will benefit visitors new to the park as well as returning guests. Thank you.
Is that it from the administration? Is that it? Okay.
Julius Culture, yes, Mr. President.
Okay.
I juggle also.
That's all right, no problem. I hereby declare the public hearing on the Green Acres multi-park application open. If there's any member of the public who would like to comment for or against this application, please come to the microphone and state your name and affiliation. For the record, you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Freeholders, Mr. President. My name is Adam Cairns. I'm the Executive Director of the Zoological Society of New Jersey. On behalf of the Society, I just want to say we support the project, the Green Acres project, as we've supported the zoo for the last 45 years. The Society has a strong partnership with Essex County to ensure the zoo meets its full potential. Such efforts are needed to expand advocacy, education, and fiscal support for wildlife conservation. Now, as many scientists have said, we're in the middle of the 6th great extinction. We need zoos more than ever to support the animals in the wild. We appreciate the direction of the zoo and its mission to conserve, educate, and inspire. Thank you very much.
Yes, my name is Robert Reshkis. I live in West Orange, about a mile from the zoo, and I have a lot of concerns about the new exhibit. I mean, the application was due on March 30th, but we haven't been able to see the application. It's not yet on the Green Acres website, and the county does not have any hard copies for us to review so that we can see whether the requirements of the project are all there. So I guess we're waiting for the county, we're waiting for the DEP to put it on the website, and we would like to know the date that our comments can be heard until. And we're also looking forward to seeing what the West Orange Planning Board has included in the application, that they have a letter saying it's consistent with their master plan. And we're also waiting for the adoption of the Turtleback Zoo new master plan, which should hopefully be, that this project should be hopefully be in compliance with that. Okay, thank you.
Sally Malanga, West Orange. I have a few questions about the very minimal presentation that the zoo is making about this bear exhibit. I'd like to know the species of the bears, how many bears, will they be mixed together, will they be separated? What is the nature of the enclosure? When you talk about interactive, what does that mean? How will you allow people to learn about bear species? How would it be more educational to watch a miserable, confined bear than watching a documentary about a bear in the wild, living free? Where's your master plan? Why are you not presenting it to West Orange, who has asked you for it for years? Why are you not holding the hearing in West Orange where you can listen to the residents who are very concerned about their use of the park, about traffic? There's been no response about that. So all of those are my questions. I'd like answers. I'd like some real dialogue. I feel that the zoo doesn't like scrutiny. And it doesn't really care what the residents of West Orange think and feel, or how the residents of West Orange are impinged upon by their constant promotions, their light shows, their music. There's people who are in traffic jams on the weekends now as a regular basis when the zoo is open. And I also want to say, you know, I like the zoo, it's pretty, but I feel that it's enough. And I'm also concerned about what's coming after the bears. There's some talk about some charismatic African species. And we know that any species that comes from Africa has to be confined indoors. And that's really unfair. So thank you. I hope I can get some answers to my questions.
Phil Kirsch from Milburn, and I know I spoke earlier, but I wanted to, in the public comment section about the zoo, but I wanted to make sure that it's on the record that I am opposed to further expansion of the zoo, even though I do appreciate and value the zoo. And I wanted to put on the record that there were several other people here tonight who felt the same way for different reasons. And I know that you as freeholders, as I saw demonstrated tonight, you come under a lot of criticism. There's a lot of pressure. You're involved with a lot of important things. And I know that you want to do, each of you individually wants to do what you feel is right. And I would just ask you that even if this application does go through, if it's hard to stop it with the momentum, if it's hard to stop something so popular, like it often is with football programs and things that everybody seems to want to get on board, that you at least think about what I said earlier and think about the irony of having a zoo which is built artificially into this natural 2,000 acres that we have. And just to keep that in perspective, and keep in perspective how large that zoo should be, and where it begins to be something, you know, not what we intended, but actually works against us. I would just ask you to please think about that, and think about that, if not right now, then for the future, if there are any other expansions. And I know you'll find in your hearts to do the right thing. Thank you.
So Don McLaughlin again from Montclair and Vice Chair of the Brookdale Park Conservancy. This is my first freeholder meeting, and I'm realizing that all my very carefully prepared remarks that I thought about in support of the ball field renovations I probably made at the wrong point in the meeting. So I'd like to sort of just recap it really quick here, just so it's part of the right part of the record, I guess, how that works. So I do want to say that we are very pleased to learn about the renovations portion of the Green Acres application. You know, those ball fields do need some help. They are well used, they are well loved, they are well worn. And so we are looking forward to, again, Green Acres and the county put a lot of money into the park, and we are looking forward to this renovation in particular as the next investment that we have. And also to reiterate, as I said before, that when we put this question of writing a letter of support for the application to our Board of Trustees, that it basically passed unanimously, so that you have the full support of the Brookdale Park Conservancy, and we look forward to completing this project. So thank you, and sorry to repeat myself.
Hi, my name is Carol Malik-Kirsch, and I'm a resident of Milburn and have been for almost 40 years now. I've raised my 2 children, spending a lot of time at the Turtleback Zoo. We loved it. I have wonderful memories of it, and now we are members of the zoo. We bring our 4-year-old grandson there very frequently, and he comes with his family very frequently, and we really, it's a very special place, but it's just getting to be too much. It really, the new things that they've done are lovely, but frankly, it's not the small, intimate place it was. And I have to say that still, you can go in even when there's a lot of people in front. Once you get inside, it doesn't seem as crowded as you would have expected it based on the people that are out in front. But the more you do, the more that's going to change that. And it will just, I mean, for me personally, it will be a loss if we just don't stop now. Thank you.
Janet Pizar from Milburn, New Jersey. I wanted to address the hearing specifically about the expansion of Turtleback Zoo and the inclusion of a grizzly bear exhibit. I think before you vote on such a thing, you should go see the 2 grizzly bears that are captive at the Space Farm Zoo in Sussex County. It's pathetic. The habitat is inadequate, and because people pay to see these animals, they really don't allow any part of a habitat where the animal can escape the peering eyes of people. And believe it or not, a group of 4 people is very intimidating, even to grizzly bears. They're isolated animals. They do not want to be on exhibit. They want to run away and they want to hide. Please go and witness the habitat and the lifestyle of these 2 pathetic bears. The other thing is, I keep hearing the term education, 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 and I love wildlife. However, a wild species held in captivity cannot educate you. It's not a natural environment. He cannot practice his natural behaviors. Food is provided to him. He probably cannot even den appropriately. You cannot learn about a species in captivity. It has to be done on a free-range wild animal. The other thing I want to say is in zoos today, there's so much interbreeding, trying to produce the next generation of a captive animal. And what happens is, and I think you probably heard the term, reverse evolution. Because when you breed a new species in captivity, that animal doesn't have the opportunity to learn his natural behaviors as taught by, in the mammalian society, that is going to be taught by the mother. So every succeeding generation gets further and further from what that species was intended to do. What makes that grizzly bear a grizzly bear? Please go visit. Please give this a lot of thought and understand this is not an educational opportunity. Thank you so much.
Hi, Carol Schlitt, resident of West Orange. I spoke sooner before the very brief presentation that was made by the management of our Turtleback Zoo, but questions remain for me, and I'm sure questions remain for you, about the sustainability of the enclosure and the space that we have at the Turtleback Zoo for a grizzly bear. It does need much larger space than we can adequately provide. And I think that that is something that needs to be asked of the management of the zoo. Have they done studies? Have they looked at the research as to how much space is actually required by this animal to live properly and to be able to prosper and to manage? And do we have that now at the Turtleback Zoo in a 3-acre enclosure? I don't think so. In addition, many of us are desperate for space, good, free, open space. And I think one of the questions in my mind, and I'm sure in yours, is how many trees and how much open space is going to be encroached upon. So I'd like to know these answers, and I'm sure you do, before considering this application. So once again, I just want to echo the concerns of my neighbors and of the people, other residents of West Orange. We object to this part of the proposal from Green Acres. We think it would be great to have ball fields in Brookdale Park. We love that idea. Definitely do that. Brookdale Park is a fantastic, wonderful park. I was there on Sunday. It is well used and well loved, with large trees and lots of open space. That's what we want in West Orange. We don't only want that in Montclair. We want that in our town. We do not want more commercialism, and we do not want an overdeveloped zoo. We want more parks, and we want more places for our kids to play ball, and not to encage large animals in inadequate spaces. Thank you so much.
My name is Joyce Rudin from West Orange. I've pretty much hit most of the points that I want to make earlier, but because of the format that you have here, it just seems necessary to have more comments. I was wondering, are we going to get any questions answered tonight from the head of the zoo and from the County Parks Commission? Will we be hearing any responses?
So all of the questions
Okay, so I just want to make one last point. I don't know how many of you have visited the zoo in recent years, but we are now becoming the home of exotic animals. And the Giraffe Exhibit, for instance, is particularly beautiful as well as heartbreaking. You get to see these gigantic, beautiful giraffes who are outside for 5 months of the year and in a house for 7 months of the year. That is an inappropriate space for a giraffe. The same thing, I fear, is going to happen with bears. Bears need enormous territory. They need to forage, they need freedom. Caging them is inappropriate, and I really hope that each of you will think very hard and long before you approve anything that will allow more exotic animals to be caged. Thank you.
So, I guess one's a comment and the second's a question. Since this is, I will pose this question to our council. Since this is this is a little bit, as you identified, unusual in terms of the process. We are right now having a public hearing on on an item that we already voted on. So one, Are there things that the administration wants to put on the record now, for the transcript that will be sent to DEP as a result of this hearing? And two, can you just again explain for the board and for the public the process for this application and whether or not we will see this application again to take any action on it?
Yes, Mr. President, I'll start in reverse order. You're correct, this is a bit of an unusual exercise, but again, it's so preliminary in the steps for any project, whether it be at the park or at the zoo or the reservation or somewhere else. The board approved or authorized the submission of an application for funds. That's all that's been approved at this point. Generally, over the years, the hearing, as it were, would be done at the Open Space Trust Fund meeting, and a transcript of that would be sent to DEP, and that was satisfactory. That was not the case this time, so although we already had the vote authorizing the application submittal, DEP required this public hearing. As you said, a portion of the transcript that deals with this public hearing will be sent to DEP for their review and consideration in the application process. That's step one. Once assuming DEP approves that application, that money comes, a resolution to accept that funding will come back to the board, again, before a project is even considered. The board has not seen a contract for architecture, much less construction of this project, so those are other opportunities that the board will have to review and vet any project or projects that are coming before the board. And certainly all those resolutions and comments from the administration and from parks personnel and staff are all done at public meetings. So there's many steps ahead of us. If the zoo staff and the zoo professionals, parks professionals wanted to respond or put something on the record, they're free to do so. Because it's not our typical public comment session where the policy is to respond in writing at a later time. This is
with that, would the professional staff like to respond to any comments from the public?
Mr. President, the administration has no further comments.
So there will be there are some questions that have been raised tonight. What I want to get to is whether there will be opportunity again for board members to follow up on those questions and address those questions at least one more time. So there's another action that the board has to take.
There's always opportunity for the board to submit questions or have meetings with the administration. In a public forum at a meeting such as this, there'll be other times that these projects come before the board for consideration, whether it be in architecture and engineering phase or the construction.
So for the members of the public who were here tonight, there will be follow-up on some of those questions that were put on the record. And I'll leave it at that. And no one wishes else to speak. If you wish to speak, come to the microphone.
Stacy Gregg. What I would like and I know you don't do questions and answers, but I believe since it's on a particular bill and it's a public hearing part, what I'm hearing from people around me is that they have not seen any actual plans as of yet. Would it be possible, you explained a little bit just now, and by the way, it's very difficult to hear you when you speak, President Gill. If you could make a better effort to speak into the mic or raise his mic, maybe whoever's in charge of the mics. It's very, very difficult to hear what you're saying, and we'd like to hear the procedures, and that's what I'm here about. If you could explain the procedures to the people in the audience, the constituents would like to know what their rights are, and a little bit more detail. You said there'll be other opportunities when these other stages of the zoo go through, but I think as part of the public session on a particular bill and an application is being made, that you can, I believe you have the opportunity at what point to call the vote on saying no because of the overwhelming negativity from the constituents of Essex County saying, no, we don't want to cage grizzly bears or exotic animals. Well, at the same time, we're killing bears and we're caging humans. It's not something we want to do in our county and in our state. So at what point of the process, can you explain the entire process loud enough in the microphone so we can hear it, so the citizens know what meetings they need to show up at, and at what point you will call the question to withdraw the applicant's plans to take money for caging more animals at a zoo when this constituents. I haven't heard one person from the audience speak in favor of this. I haven't heard one council member speak their mind in favor or against it. So if you could explain that process and when we'll hear from you, other than in writing, because I don't think most of us in the audience have a direct link to your writing. I had a hard enough time finding out about the meeting on the website being next week on Wednesday. I had to go searching quite a bit to find it, that it's going to be at 5 o'clock in Newark, that it's not tonight. So if you could please elaborate, I'd really appreciate it. The other thing is people did not understand the process of the 3 minutes at the public session at the beginning, 3 minutes at the end, and when there is something or any of those things, those items that are on the paper that, like example, this public session, you noticed the lady did not understand what the rights were, so if you may want to find a way to draft something, whether you have it at each meeting, if you have it to hand out to people, that you follow Robert's rules a little bit, whatever it is that you do, because every freeholder meeting is a little bit different, and the public's entitled to be educated, and I think you're all Democrats. I don't know if you're all Democrats. I didn't really spend time studying you, but I think it'd be nice to educate the people as what their rights are. And the fact that they came tonight with a grievance about the sheriff, I think that needs to be addressed as well. Thank you.
Phil Kirsch, Milburn. I just wanted to say that because there seems to be very little disagreement about the Brookdale Park part of the application, and obviously a lot of disagreement about the Turtleback Zoo part of it, that you might consider separating the two. It might just make it easy to get the Brookdale Park application through these processes and then have more time to examine and discuss the Turtleback Zoo part.
Mr. Parlavecchio, I'm sorry. Mr. Parlavecchio, on that point, based on where we are in the process, can we address that question about potential separation?
I would have to leave that to the administration. My understanding is this is an application for multi-parks funding. I don't think it's a bifurcated process. I think it's one gross application for an amount of money. But if somebody from Parks has more information, they can share that.
Through you, Mr. President. Mr. Parlavecchio, if I'm not mistaken, we've already voted on this. And tonight there's actually not a vote. Am I understanding this correctly?
That's right. That's what I said at the outset at the meeting.
Right.
The authorization to make application for funding has already happened. DEP responded to, once that resolution was sent to Department of Environmental Protection, they said that a public hearing would be required, that the Open Space Trust Fund meeting as a public hearing was not sufficient as it had been in past years. Today is a public hearing on that, on the funding. We're not approving the construction or the plans. In fact, there have been no plans presented. This is a public hearing on the funding. The transcript of this public hearing will be sent to DEP. What they do with it, I don't know. My presumption would be they take it into consideration as they review the county's application. If that application is successful and the funding is granted, then that comes back to this board for acceptance.
Through you, Mr. President, one other, Mr. Paolavecchio, so in the past, it was done in a different way. Going forward, seems like you're saying that the public comments and before we vote on a particular item such as this will all be done at the same time?
Well, if what DEP is doing this time is prologue for how they will handle future applications, then yes. It's different than they've proceeded in the past, but if I would suggest that we know that before, we'll know that before we have another application like.
Thank you.
Thank you. Once the money comes to the county through the state for Green Acres, the administration then determines what it's going to do with the money. And once it has a project that it wants to propose, that project comes before the Open Space Trust Fund Advisory Board, of which I am a member. We discuss that project. Sometimes we add to that project, sometimes we change it, sometimes we keep it just the way the administration has proposed. And after we discuss it at the Open Space Trust Fund Advisory Board, it then comes to this Freeholder Board for approval. And for the various stages, for the engineering, for the project itself, and so on. And then once the state gives the county the money, the individual projects that were discussed here tonight by the audience will then be presented to the advisory board by the administration separately. So there could be one project just for Branch Brook Park. There could be one project just for Weequahic Park. There could be one project just for the zoo. But it will come individually before us, before it comes to this freeholder board. That's the process we've always followed.
Hi, my name is Jesse Rosso. I guess my comment is more regarding the procedure of the, so when the, I mean, I appreciate that you take the time to write a letter, but part of the reason why we attend these meetings is to get your statements out on the record and in front of the public, for the public to hear it. And sometimes through that exchange, we each learn something more about the process. By writing a letter individually to someone, you might not have heard the question right, and the question kind of changes from the meeting, and that way, at the meeting, while the person is there, you can ask clarifying questions, and there can be kind of an exchange, and I think the process overall is much healthier. And like I said, that's kind of the reason of why we keep attending these meetings and keep directing questions to you. We want to make sure that you're actually listening. I can sit in a space and just stare blindly ahead. I went to Catholic school, so.
Not listening.
Well, I mean, I need a comment of something that I need some feedback that you are listening, because a lot of times I know last 2 weeks ago in South Orange when Freeholder President Brendan Gill made the statement of one of the reasons that we want to keep this ICE contract is to keep the people here close to their families, and we've kind of been through that argument several times, and we've parsed all the different arguments. We hear the same thing we hear the same arguments in Hudson County, in Bergen County. It's kind of a tired thing, but at the end of the day, the first thing that we hear from when County Executive County Executive DiVincenzo speaks, the first thing he says is the triple bond rating and the revenue. And it's the same thing we hear in this. The first thing we hear in Hudson County is the same thing. You know, it's all about profits over people. And the situation between the prison, the parks, it's all intertwined. It's all about making money, and it's all about eroding the quality of life for average working class people. Thank you.
Sally Malenga, West Orange. Just as a point of procedure, I would like to request that the public comment portion of tonight's meeting also be sent to the DEP. I don't know if you intended to do that or not, but many more comments were made during that period of time about the zoo, and they need to hear those comments.
I just wanted to reiterate, Mr. President, as I said, this public hearing, one of the main purposes is to take this portion of the public hearing as a transcript, and it will be submitted to NJDEP.
That would be totally unfair to the public. What is the harm in sending them the transcript of everybody's
What's your
comments?
name on the record, please?
Sally Malenga, West Orange. No.
That's what he.
You are sending the transcript of the public comment at the beginning of the meeting before this hearing. Many people made comments about the zoo thinking that the Green Acres people would hear that.
Understood. So many people made comments during the public comment session at the beginning of the meeting that you should be attached to the record as being sent for the public hearing. I have no objection if we can figure out a way to do that, Mr. Counsel. Then, I mean, is that something that we can?
I'm sure our transcriber.
Okay. So the answer is yes, we will do that.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Madam Clerk, let the record reflect that there is no one else wishing to speak. Madam Clerk, let's move to resolution number 1. Advice and consent nomination for the appointment to the Essex County Environmental Commission. Please read it.
Resolution for advice and consent, nomination for the appointment of Sheila Baker to the Essex County Environmental Commission.
Did you close public hearing? Did you close the public hearing?
Mr. Counsel, I said let the record reflect that there is no one wishing to speak. I was not advised that I needed to formally close the public hearing.
The public hearing is now closed.
Okay, the public hearing is now closed. Let's move to resolution number 1. So, no, we don't need to read it again. It's been read, or if it hasn't been, we will read it into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. President, this is Mr.
Yes, hello. I'm Sheila Baker Gujral. I'm a member of the Maplewood Environmental Advisory Committee for 10 years and a Maplewood resident for 20 years. And I'm looking forward to serving on the Essex County Environmental Commission. I also work at the Association of New Jersey Environmental Commissions, so my full-time job is working on educating and inspiring environmental commissions around the state and, working on the various challenges that we all face.
Thank you very much. I'm the Freeholder Liaison to the Essex County Environmental Commission, and I read your resume extensively, and they need new good people, and I think that you're going to be a wonderful addition to that board. They do excellent, excellent work. I think you will enjoy it.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you for a willingness to serve and to be on the commission. Do I have a motion and a second?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Siebel. Second by Freeholder Pomeroy. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano. Absent. Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomeroy.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Yes.
Freeholder, President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
I like
Thank
it.
you. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Resolution number 2 has been withdrawn by the administration. Madam Clerk, let's move to resolutions number 3 through 15, which are all reappointments and can be read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson? Okay. Thank you. Freeholders, do we have any questions or comments? Freeholder Siebold?
Thank you very much. I'm also the freeholder liaison to the Open Space Trust Fund Advisory Board, and all 3 people are being reappointed, and I have to tell you that all 3 are great appointments. They come to all the meetings, and they are really contributing members to everything we do here in Essex County in terms of the Open Space Trust Fund. So I'm pleased they're being reappointed.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
I'll nominate all of them.
Moved by Freeholder Siebold. Do I have a second? Second by Cooper. Thank you. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebold.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Ricardo.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano, absent Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Taking resolutions number 16 and 17, which we will read into the record at a later time. We'll take each of them together. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Del Gaudio, please.
Good evening, freeholders. Frank Del Gaudio, Director of the Essex County Hospital Center. Resolution 16 is it's a non-fair and open contract with Robert Wood Johnson Barnabas Health for inpatient, outpatient emergency services for the patients of the Essex County Hospital. This is the 6th year we're looking to have this contract approved. And what this does is it opens up the entire Robert Wood Johnson Barnabas network to our patients at the hospital. Our patients are mostly indigent. They do not have insurance. And I think they get the best medical care in the state of New Jersey. So with that, we've formed all kinds of different relationships with outstanding physicians as part of this contract. We have the chief of cardiology of the Robert Wood Johnson Barnabas Health System come to our hospital once a month, see about 25 to 30 patients every month, and he loves the work. Once you get into that, you feel like you're giving back. It's been a very good contract. What this contract does, it sets the groundwork for the financial reimbursement for the services. Since our patients do not have insurance, some do have Medicare, Medicaid, and if they do, they're billed at that rate. Otherwise, we have a negotiated rate that's part of this contract that the hospital center pays.
Questions, comments? Okay, let's move to resolution 17.
Again, Frank Del Gaudio, Director of the Essex County Hospital Center. Resolution 17 is an affiliation agreement with Kane University for our Recreation Services Department. We have numerous affiliation agreements with various nursing schools, recreation therapy, art therapy, and this is for recreation therapists that will come to our hospital and learn under our staff.
Do you have any questions or comments on 16 or 17? Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Freeholder Johnson, second by, I apologize, Freeholder, it's just tough to hear back here, Freeholder Graham. Okay, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Ricardo.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebold.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you. Moving to resolution number 18, which we can read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Freeholders. Michael Vieira, Director of Special Transportation Services. I'm wearing two hats tonight. I've never done that before. I work for two divisions. The resolution number 18 is for the Division of Senior Services. The county executive made available some monies for the purchase of some vehicles, and we had some grant monies. With me is Matt Fatante from Aurora Bus Sales. Matt's company, Aurora Bus Sales, came in at the lowest bid out of 3 bids. We're here recommending that we purchase 12 vehicles under this bid.
Motion.
Yes, the vendor is here.
Just said the vendors here.
Evening. Matt Fatante. I'm with Roar Bus Sales. We represent Champion Bus, builder of minibuses for our company's represented them for 35 years. They're good, safe, reliable transportation for Essex County residents and seniors, residents with disabilities. All of the buses will have wheelchair lifts on them, and there's 3 different sizes. Not sure of the quantity of each, but they range basically from 10 passenger up to 18 passenger.
And where's your company located?
We're based out of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and we have a regional office here in Trenton, New Jersey.
How many employees? How many people do you employ? So do you employ you don't employ the drivers?
We don't employ drivers in New Jersey, no. We're a Thomas school bus dealer in Pennsylvania, and we're also an operator of school buses. We operate 600 school buses in Pennsylvania.
Not in New Jersey?
Not in New Jersey.
Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Vieira is doing number 18 and number 19 also, correct?
This is number, I think, Freeholder, yes.
All right. I just want to state that Michael Vieira has extensive experience in transportation, and he's well known throughout the state for the work in transportation. He's head of Michael, you'll have to tell us the name of the state transportation group that you're in charge of?
It's the New Jersey Council on Special Transportation, Freeholder.
That's for the state, correct?
That's correct, yes.
All right. And so you know we're well represented statewide, right, from right here in Essex County. So thank you for the great work that you do.
Thank you.
Okay, additional questions or comments? Freeholder Johnson.
How many buses are we acquiring with this 833,700?
Freeholder, we're acquiring 12 buses. 3 buses will be either 10 ambulatory, 0 wheelchair, or that converts to 8 ambulatory and 1 wheelchair position. We are also purchasing 4 vehicles that have a capacity of 12 ambulatory and 0 wheelchair, or 10 ambulatory and 2 wheelchair. When I say that the 0, it's because there's a flip seat that comes down if we need to. The last vehicle that we're purchasing 5 vehicles. It's either an 18 and no wheelchair position, or that gets converted into a 16 ambulatory 2 wheelchair position.
Okay. 10 buses.
Through you, Mr. President, Mr. Vieira, how many? So who will be operating these buses?
The operators will be our contractor, Transdev Transportation Services. We have, I believe, 3 years left on a 5-year contract with them. They do provide the insurance for the vehicles under their contract.
So the county is purchasing the vehicles?
They are county, yes. We've done this for the last 35 years. So we purchase the vehicles, we give them to our provider agency, and they have to maintain them through our contract.
So my question is, how many Essex County residents are employed operating these buses through this company who you give the buses to?
They're all. We have 33 drivers plus office staff of probably about 10.
So they're all Essex County residents?
They are all Essex County.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Freeholders, additional questions or comments? The motion, moved by Freeholder Siebold. Second by Freeholder Mercado. Thank you. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Sebo.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper. Yes. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, moving to resolution number 19. Mr. Jackson, can read into the record at a later time.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Mr. President, I put my other hat on. It is I am the Director of Special Transportation Services, also for the Division of Training and Employment. This contract is for our wave service. Our wave service has been operating for about 18 years. It comes out of our one-stop building in East Orange, and it provides transportation to all of our contracted agencies for our clientele, either educational or activities to get them job ready. I do have Krishnamurthy from Meadowlink. Meadowlink has been a provider not only of the wave service, but also of our job access reverse commute, longtime provider of Essex County. Mr. Murthy.
Good evening, freeholders. My name is Krishnamurthy. I'm the Executive Director of Meadowlink, and I definitely want to thank all the freeholders and Essex County for giving us the opportunity to provide shuttle services for the county.
Okay. Freeholders, questions or comments? Freeholder Cooper.
Who exactly benefits from this transportation service? Thank you.
I'm sorry, Freeholder, I didn't hear the question.
Who is this transportation service for? I didn't quite hear you.
This is, we operate the One Stop in East Orange. That's where all the services come together. Whenever we need to refer our clients to one of our activities, we have about 19 contracts throughout the county of activities that our clients can go to either get further educated or job ready. The WAVE service touches every single one of these agencies. There's 4 routes set up, and it just, throughout the day, just goes in continuous loops.
Okay. So the clients get...
It's the clients. It's all the clients, yes.
All right, thank you.
Vice President Richardson.
And these drivers are also Essex County residents?
Some of them are, not every one of them.
How many of them are there?
We would think about half of them from the greater Newark area. They're not only from Newark, they're also from East Orange, Irvington. And some of them are also from Bergen County, because we run services in multiple counties. We run services in 6 different counties. And we don't have one driver specified for one route. So roughly half of our drivers are from this area, about 50%, and they operate services not only in Newark, but also in Secaucus and in some other
What's
areas.
the total number?
We have a little under 100 drivers,
So
and about half of them would be...
are from this area?
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Freeholders. Do I have a motion? Moved by Freeholder Siebel.
Second.
Second by Vice President Richardson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to resolution number 20. We can read it into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Good evening, freeholders. Excuse me, I'm under the weather. This is a grant that we received from the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs to provide services and programs to our low constituent individuals and families throughout Essex County. We in turn take these funds and subcontract these dollars out to 3 of our delegated agencies to provide those day-to-day services to our constituents. And also, this is a new renewal contract. We get this contract every year.
Freeholders. Vice President Richardson.
Who are the 3 agencies?
The 3 agencies are Resolution 21, which is the East Orange Community Development Corporation. Number 22 resolution is the Irvington Improvement Corporation. And number 23 is the Montclair Neighborhood Development Corporation.
Okay, you said 21, 22. Okay.
Thank you.
Freeholders, resolution number 20, and then resolution number 21, 22, and 23, which are the actual providers. Do I have a motion for resolution number 20?
Move it.
Moved by Vice President Richardson.
Second.
Second by Freeholder Mercado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Stevenson.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano. Yes. Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to resolutions 21, 22, and 23, which will be laid for the record at a later time. Are there any comments or questions for you?
I have a question.
Freeholder Graham.
Can you tell me a little bit about the services you provide?
Through you, Freeholder President, the services are provided of financial literacy. We have workshops for our constituents to learn how to budget their money. We also have housing counseling with fair housing, practice helping with affordable housing. We have soup kitchens where we do on-site feeding at 2 of our delegate agencies, and we also have food pantry, also after-school program, and some programs.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. How are these organizations selected? Do you do an RFP?
Through you, President, Freeholder President, they are selected because they are delegated agencies as a CAP agency. You have to be a CAP agency in order to be selected, which means you have to be registered through the state of New Jersey Department of Community Affairs. We've had several agencies inquire about it, and we've referred them to the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs. They never followed through in order to be selected as an agency. So we only have just the 3.
Oh, so you only have just the 3?
Just the 3, yes, sir.
Thank you.
The action.
Community Action Partnership.
Through you, Mr. President.
Freeholder Mercado.
And what's the capacity for agencies? How many agencies can apply through the state?
Through you, President, Freeholder President, as many agencies as they want can apply. All they have to do is contact me. We'll refer them to the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs. They get registered, we get the cert that they registered, and we can do RFPs.
Thank you.
So, through you, Mr. President, so the only CAP agencies or potential CAP agencies, if there were more, they would have to be Essex County based?
Through
Is
you,
that a
President?
criteria?
Yes, sir. We do have one other CAP agency, but they're Newark-based, so they handle the Newark-based clientele.
Is there an opportunity to host like some kind of informational workshop, perhaps to educate other organizations about the process to become a CAP agency? Like, could you do something like that?
President, we've done that in the past, and we can do it again.
Thank you.
How long ago was the last time you did it?
Through you, President, Freeholder President, it was done in 2017.
Couple years.
Freeholder, questions or comments? Second.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Vice President Richardson, second by Freeholder Graham. This is on resolutions 21, 22, and 23. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siegel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to resolutions 24 through 31, which we will read into the record at a later time. Starting with resolution number 24.
Good morning, freeholders. My name is Joshua Zates from the Essex County Parks Department.
Morning. You trying to make sure we're awake?
Number 24
Are
is
you awake,
a
Josh?
Number 24 is a professional service agreement to provide golf course design architecture for Francis Byrne Golf Course, and we do have our golf director Tim here to address any questions you may have.
Good evening, Tim Chris, Director of Golf Course Operations. It's been a long day. How may I help you? Excuse me? Oh.
So you won't get a cramp in your neck.
Any questions? Okay. We're hiring Stephen Kay. He's been our golf course architect for approximately 12 years. Consulted on many projects from Weequay to all three of the golf courses. We've had an ongoing issue with golf balls on adjacent to the golf course at Francis Byrne. So we're hiring Stephen to give us a plan to adjust the first hole and probably shorten the first hole, do the design work, and lengthen the 15th hole so as not to ruin the integrity of the golf course. So we have to shorten one and lengthen one. Bills?
Move it.
Moved by Freeholder Johnson, second by Freeholder Graham. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
Freeholder Seymour.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Tomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Hill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Resolution number 25.
Joshua Zates, Essex County Parks. Number 25 and number 26 are both having to deal with grants for the local arts as well as the local history program, and our Deputy Director, Kate Hartwick, is here to address any questions you may have.
Good evening, Kate Hartwick, Deputy Director, Essex County Parks. Resolution number 25 is the Local Arts Grant Program. Just as some background, the New Jersey State Council on the Arts, the state agency, provides funding to the Cultural Affairs Division. That funding is then granted out to local arts organizations through an application process. That application process is made available through a series of workshops. It is open to nonprofits and municipalities. This year we have 40 applications, all of whom were funded at varying levels. It represents a variety of municipalities as well as a variety of disciplines within the arts. Are there any questions on the arts?
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hartwick. I know we've had this discussion in the past, and I realize this is state funding, so this now will be allocated. It's a pass-through grant. In my observation of this, and it has been for years, that number of about $104,000 has remained fairly consistent, I would say. Is that true?
Yes, that's correct.
And so when I'm looking at the awards here, I'm looking at requests of about $5,000, and usually we fund about less than half of that.
Correct.
And I understand that the goal here is to try to fund as many organizations, which I agree and is a very noble cause to spread it around as much as possible. My question to you is there a way that we can make a more considered effort to request more money from the state? Because when you give an award, and this is not a reflection of your new department, this is a reflection of the little amount of money we get from the state. We're awarding a whopping $300 for a program. And it probably costs $500 to put that application in terms of staff time and overhead and things of that nature. I'm very familiar with this process as I do this professionally. Outside of this world, I wear another hat in the arts as well. And so it's not a criticism of you folks, but is there a better way that perhaps we can rendezvous to discuss how do we try to seek more funding?
So I can speak to that. We are one of the highest funded counties through the New Jersey State Council of the Arts. I believe we're number 3 or 4 of the 21 counties across the state. The best way, or one of the ways that we could see more funding would be to advocate at the state level for more funding to be dedicated to the New Jersey State Council on the Arts, specifically for the counties to allocate back out to local arts organizations.
Through you, Mr. President, I'd like to propose that we put together some kind of committee to move that. Otherwise, since the arts are historically underfunded, severely underfunded, consistently underfunded, I'd like to propose that we at some point put together a committee to review this and to lobby our partners throughout the state to lobby for more funding for this, because the arts, historic preservation, performing arts, is significantly underfunded. This is something that regrettably I've had to experience personally for 25 years. I'm sure Ms. Hartwick has had the same experience, and Mr. Zates as well, when we've had a conversation about it. I'm sure this is all, it's old hat for us. We do this for a living. And so I think a real considered effort needs to be done by this year, and I'm happy to chair it. I'll put my money where my mouth is, or lack of money where my mouth is here, to put together this and to try to put together some kind of an effort to try to lobby not only our partners here in the county, but then in the other counties. I am sure that the best funded county in the state of New Jersey is going to, I would bet a lot of money, not that I have it, that they would agree with me that they don't get enough money.
Right.
Ms. Harwick, would you have a ballpark understanding of the highest county funded?
I believe Monmouth and Morris are the other two ahead of us.
And by leaps and bounds, or
No,
not
by
much?
small margins,
So relatively speaking, this is about as good as the state of New Jersey is doing. And so I think that we really need to do better than this. And so I'd like to ask for your assistance support, and all of my colleagues here in assistance support, and trying to make some kind of lobbying effort for this. Because if we don't, next year, I guarantee you it's pretty much going to be a carbon copy. And again, this is absolutely not meant to be in any way aimed at our department. This is a pass-through grant. And, there's not much to pass through. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. President, so, Freeholder, so we do have an arts committee within the Freeholder Board. Maybe we can find some money right in the county to help supplement what we do. Next year's budget. Maybe we take that route.
Mr. President, I'd be happy to explore both routes.
Absolutely.
I guarantee you there'll never be enough money for this.
Right. Let's see if we can find some money right here in the county as we lobby the state.
Thank you. So, Ms. Cartwright, if you don't mind, we may be imposing on you some information just to help us be better aware of how these things work.
Certainly, through you, I'm happy to assist.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bill, there's additional comments or questions on Resolution 5?
Just one quick one.
Bill, the
Thank you. Out of curiosity, I think it's commendable that you strive to fund every applicant that requested money, right? But when you look at the numbers, the reality is some of these organizations might not be able to complete their project. Do you ever recapture funds back because they were not able to come up with additional funding? And then what do you do with that funding when it comes back in?
Yes, so there have been a few instances where organizations have not been able to complete the application that they had applied for. Those funds are then recaptured. We have to get permission from the state to reallocate those funds. In the past, they have gone to support increased workshops to improve the application processes and raise the ability of the organizations to complete their programs and the applications themselves.
So you have to get permission. So you couldn't reallocate the money that you recaptured to another organization that you did not fund 100%?
No, it would have to go back to the state, and they would have to approve any reallocation.
Is there a contribution requirement from the organization, a match?
Yes, all of the organizations are required to have a one-to-one match. That can be half of that in in-kind services and half of it in cash.
All right, thank you.
I have a question. When does the RFPs come out? And what's the timeline?
The application gets announced usually around June 1st. The deadline is usually the first or second week of August. The applications are then reviewed throughout the fall, and recommendations are then made by the end of the year.
Thank you.
I'm happy to move it, Mr. President.
Second.
Resolution, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson?
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano?
Yes.
Freeholder Ricardo?
Yes.
Freeholder Morris?
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson?
Yes.
Freeholder Siegel? Yes. Freeholder President Gill?
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you. Resolution number 26.
Resolution number 26 is similar to 25. This is funding that the Division of Cultural Affairs receives from the New Jersey Historical Commission. This funding is to support local history organizations. It is a smaller award from the New Jersey Historical Commission than what we receive at the arts level. This year it supports 12 organizations. There's a range in terms of funding, as well as the communities that are served. But again, all of the applicants who made applications received funding in this round.
Mr. President,
Freeholder Pomaris.
nothing more because in the interest of time, ditto to my previous argument about the arts. To me, history and the arts is one. It's all part of the same cultural fabric.
So Freeholder Pomaris, this will be part of the
Yes.
library for...
Correct. That's right, sir. Yeah. And what I mean to say is that I'm trying to just make it as short as possible because I know everyone's here being here late. But yeah, to me, this is one and the same. I mean, the arts. I see the arts as a broader spectrum, and to separate out preservation or historic programs as separate really, to me, does not. I understand why they do it in the state level, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. But it is part of the same fabric, and I would be at a loss if I didn't say that on the eve of Historic Preservation Month, which is next May. It's every May. So.
Motion?
I'll move it, Mr. President.
Second?
Second.
Freeholder Seymour.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomaris.
Yes.
Freeholder Ricardo.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano. Yes. Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
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 Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Resolution 27.
Joshua Zaid, Essex County Parks. Resolution 27 is an allocation from the Open Space Trust Fund to approve amount not to exceed $100,000 for tree maintenance. Specifically, the tree maintenance would be over at the South Mountain Recreation Complex. We are going to be using an existing contract that we have with Downs Tree Service to do the tree work.
Thank you. Number 27 through 32 were all discussed at the April 2nd Open Space Trust Fund Advisory Board meeting. All of these. And I believe the minutes are included in your information, which explains it all.
Resolution 27. Questions or comments? The mover, moved by Freeholder Seymour.
Second.
By Freeholder Grant. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Hooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Ricardo.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomaris.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Seymour.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Resolution 28.
Joshua Zaid, Essex County Parks. Resolution number 28 and 29 are related in that 28 is the funding mechanism for number 29. 28 is an allocation from the Open Space Trust Fund not to exceed $145,760 for design work for the Ballantine Gates over in Branchbrook Park. Specifically, the items included in the design will be to identify the historic significance of the Ballantine Gate building, repair the masonry, drainage, damaged stones, interior of the building, including new flooring, ceiling, walls, copper gutters, windows, and so on. And we do have a representative from the architectural firm here to answer any questions you may have.
Mr. President and fellow freeholders, my name is Jim Johnston from Netta Architects. I'm a vice president with the firm. We're about 40 architects in nearby Union County. Of those architects, approximately 10% of those live in Essex County. About 15% of those are minorities. We have a specialty in historical restoration, having completed about 30-plus projects, including Newark Symphony Hall, the Feigenspan Mansion in Newark, as well as the Broad Street Station. So we have a deep bench of historic projects. We're particularly excited about this project. It's one that's clearly in our comfort zone and sweet spot, and I'd be glad to answer any questions. And on top of our experience, we're certified with the Secretary of Interiors for historic rehabilitation, as well as DPMC, and who else? DPMC and CHIPO. So we're clearly qualified for the project. We're very excited about the project, given the historical significance of that particular building. So I'm glad to answer any questions you may have about the project.
Thank you. Freeholders. Yes.
Nothing more than a comment, but just very pleased to hear the credentials in historic preservation and the accolades you have acquired with that.
Thank you, Freeholder.
Thank you.
I just have one question, and I wasn't clear because you were talking so fast.
Oh, I'm sorry,
doesn't
sir.
work that fast. So I have to break things down. So you said 10% of your workforce lives in Essex County?
That is correct, Freeholder.
And then you said 15% of the 10%?
No, 15% of the firm. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
That's what I wanted to clarify.
Thank you, Freeholder. It's been a long night for all of you. I try to get it done as quick as possible. I apologize for that.
I have 17 more questions. Freeholders.
Through you, Mr. President. I'm extremely pleased that we are at this stage with looking at the gateway, the Ballantyne Gates. It's very historic. It's the gateway to Branchbrook Park, and some of the organizations that work within the community, the Branchbrook Alliance and the Forest Association, have been asking, have been demanding that we get through this point. So I am very pleased that that we're at this point. And what are the next steps after?
So our scope of work, the first part, we need to identify the historical significance of the building, identify existing conditions. I'm going to slow down. And then from that part, we bring in a conservator who's nationally known, who has to take material samples to make sure when we do the renovation, it is historic with the same types of materials, et cetera. And then when we replace the windows, we have to make sure we replace the windows with the same historical significant windows. So the process is identification of significance, investigation, and then design. Then we go out to bid, and in that bid, we'll be looking for only qualified firms who can do historical rehabilitation projects.
Do you have a timeline for that?
We think about 2 months to do the investigatory piece. It's fairly detailed, especially the cleaning part where we don't replace. They have to do tests on cleaning materials to make sure that it's not too abrasive, to take off the different things. So that process takes about 2 months to get to the point where we'll be able to put design documents together and then go out to bid. So all in all, we'll probably be between 6 and 9 months in that process.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
May I ask, sir, if you can, with the historic structures report, leave a file and copy with the resident historian of the county and local municipality, so that those things could always be found, and they're always an excellent source of information. The process by which you'll undertake to do that may yield further information on similarities in parallel scholarly research related to that particular structure and or related structures of the period. And so we would appreciate if you can have on file those things with the local historians, or at least offer, to our area historians. And I would think probably the best bet you can do that too is designate historical societies. I think just about every municipality will have them.
Thank you, Freeholder. Appreciate that.
Questions or comments?
Second.
Freeholder Sebo.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Tavares.
Yes.
Freeholder Ricardo.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Is this just for 28 or 2089 together?
28.
Thank you, yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Probably just taking together resolution 29.
Joshua Zates, Essex County Parks. Resolution 29 is piggybacking on Resolution 28.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Ricardo.
Yes.
Freeholder Flores.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Hill.
Yes.
So moved.
Resolution number 30.
Joshua Zates, Essex County Parks. Resolution number 30 and 31 are related in that 30 is the funding mechanism for 31. 30 is allocation from the Open Space Trust Fund in an amount not to exceed $305,000 for new Cody Arena insulated flooring. This is flooring that we would put down and take up depending on special events such as senior wellness or graduations. And to tell you a little bit more about that, we do have our arena manager here.
Good evening. Stephen Ruggiero, Director, Cody Arena at the South Mountain Recreation Complex. Good evening, Mr. President and Board of Chosen Freeholders. Do you have any questions?
Freeholders? Resolutions 30 and 31.
Move them both.
Another second.
I'll second them.
Second by,
You got a second on both?
second by Freeholder Ricardo.
Yes.
That's resolutions 30 and 31. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder
On
Flores.
both.
Yes.
Freeholder Ricardo.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Hill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Can I ask the director, Parks Director, something before we vote?
Sure.
Zates.
Josh,
Yeah.
you're wanted.
Can you please email to me the process for tree maintenance and inspection in county parks? In Orange Park, we've experienced over this last year a good number of trees that have either fallen down from high winds or the other weather-related items, or big tree limbs have broken off. So the constituents in that area are really concerned about the age of the trees, the maintenance of the trees. So when I saw this $100,000 and you told me it was for South Mountain Reservation, I started to think about Orange Park. So can you email me what the process is so that we can get some of those trees inspected there?
Joshua Zates, Essex County Parks. Through you, Mr. President. Just to give you an update, it's not just Orange, it's not just South Mountain. There's trees. You know, we have a lot of tree maintenance issues that we do have to address. We do have our maintenance director working on, I guess you would call it an action plan for tree maintenance. But certainly we will get back to you and let you know more definitive plans towards that.
Through you, Mr. President. Branchbrook Park, which I know a lot of work has been done over this last several weeks because of Cherry Blossom Festival. But there's still some fallen trees that still need some attention, and there's still some debris in the Cherry Blossom Welcome Center, along the fence, by the school. The workers blew the leaves and the debris over the hill. You can't see if you're standing in front of the Cherry Blossom Welcome Center. But if you were to walk over by the fence, if we can ask our contractor to clean the debris that alongside of the fence by the school, it would be very, very helpful.
Through you, Mr. President. Yes, our maintenance director is aware of that. I know you and I had talked previously about some trash that was left over there,
Right.
and they're addressing that, and then the
They
leaves
did
and
pick
whatnot.
some up,
Yeah.
but they didn't pick all of it up. They
Yeah,
need to go
it's-
to
it's
the
gonna be a
full
process,
extent
but yeah.
to the fence, all the way down. It really looks terrible. All the parents in that school, that's what they see every single day. That's what the kids see. It's in front of their playground. All they see is debris and leaves that have been piled up, old leaves, because they just blew them over, and they're just setting on the fence, and you can't really see it. So it will be helpful if they can clean that up.
Yeah, certainly. Thank you for your input.
Thank you.
Okay, we move to resolution number 32. Please, the record at Liaison.
Mr. Valley here from the Public Works
Good evening, freeholders. Gerardo Valle, Assistant Engineer, Department of Public Works. Resolution 32 is a contract award to the two lowest responsive and responsible bidders, Kevin Downs Tree Services and Rich Tree Services, to provide tree services from the start date of March 30th, 2019 through March 29th, 2021. This is a 24-month open-ended and as-needed contract, not to exceed $120,000.
Questions or comments on resolution number 32? Have a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Vice President Richardson, second by Freeholder Graham. Thank you. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Ricardo.
Yes.
Freeholder Romare.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel. Yes. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you. Resolution number 33, we can read it into the record at a later time.
Gerardo Valle, Assistant Engineer, Department of Public Works. Resolution 33 is resolution consenting to the Township of Cedar Grove resolution prohibiting truck traffic 4 tons and over along West Lindsley Road.
Questions or comments?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Luciano,
Second.
second by Freeholder Grant. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Romare.
Yes.
Freeholder Ricardo.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to resolution number 34. Read it into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Director Ortiz here. Good evening, freeholders. Through you, Mr. President, I'm here to ask for the approval of Keith Commissary as our commissary provider for our inmates and detainees that we have at the correctional facilities, a 2-year option.
So they've had this contract for how long? This is a 2-year option,
It's
so
a
it's a
2-year
new
option.
contract?
Usually it's a 5-year, usually. I'm not certain right here, right now, but I believe it's 3 years went by, now the 2-year option.
And what's the amount of this, what's the worth? What's this contract worth in terms of dollars?
Let me see. The amount that is worth in total? The revenue.
It's not, this is a revenue contract, freeholder.
It's my fourth one.
And actually, all that revenue then goes back into the account for the detainees, so we don't count itself back into the account for the detainees.
So I have a couple of questions. There have been some stuff that was brought to our attention. It was put on the record earlier about one of the speakers, and they pointed out to this particular vendor, public information, it's all over the internet, how they were caught up in a bribery scheme. And they were fined $3.1 million for bribing some officials, I think is in Mississippi. Are you aware of this?
I also, Al Ortiz, Director, Essex County Correctional Facility. I just became aware, as you did, when the gentleman spoke on that.
And they also were accused of or had to pay back. They were sued by the inmates for overbilling the inmates, charging them too much for the commissary items. Guess that's how they overbilled it. So what I'm saying to you, Mr. Ortiz, is I'm going to recommend to my fellow colleagues not to pass this contract, to accept this vendor in Essex County.
It's your prerogative, sir, and we accept that, and we will move forward.
So I guess they can bid, but we have the right to vote against it. We don't have to accept their bid. And if that's, I'm not saying it is, but if that's the prerogative of the administration or Mr. Ortiz, then maybe we need to do a full investigation on this particular company. So you can parse it any way you feel like doing, but we have recourse. So right now, I don't think they're a good vendor for us.
I share Vice President Richardson's concerns. My only concern with doing this right this very minute is some of the inmates won't have alternatives to buy food if they have concerns with the food vendor. You know, if you look at the commissary, some of them who have religious kinds of things don't always eat from the vendor that provides the food. You know, like one of the things that came up was people who are Muslim who want halal kinds of things. They were buying some things from the commissary. So if we do this, what's the contingency plan of the administration? Do you have a plan B?
Mr. President, I think we would, between now and the next meeting, I think we've had ample time to either allay the board's concerns or not, and address some issues that Freeholder and Cooper raised, and we can do that.
So through you, Mr. President, so who's the vendor that's there now? The same one is there. So their contract will continue like others do while there are issues, right? So until we figure it out. We're trying to get you one that works.
Freeholder Richardson, this is a 2-year extension. This contract was awarded in 17.
So well, we don't have to
it's an extension.
extend it.
So they're the incumbent as well.
But we don't have to do it.
No.
Okay. That's where I am.
Through you, Mr. President. I recommend that we table the vote today until we look into further. We just found out today, and we learned of it today, so I think we should table this vote and then do an investigation and then move forward.
Right. Mr. President, if the will of the board is to put this off, I would suggest make a motion to adjourn it to whatever the date of the next meeting is, 20-something, 24th.
24th. I move to adjourn this item.
Second.
So moved by Fielder Mercado, second by Fielder Cooper. Roll call, Madam Clerk, to adjourn resolution 34 to the next meeting.
Freeholder Seagull.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Fielder Kumar.
Yes.
Fielder Mercado.
Yes.
Fielder Luciano.
Yes.
Fielder Johnson.
Yes.
Fielder Graham.
Yes.
Fielder Cooper.
Yes.
Fielder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Resolution number 35, which will read for the record at a later time. Jackson.
Thank you. Item 35 is a budget, as a number of these, I think 30 through 39, budget insertions, Mr. President, members of the board. The first one is $68,859 for our Human Services Advisory Council. This provides funding for administrative costs, and we provide an in-kind match of $9,574. This reviews the services and funding allocations for the programs we provide. You want me to just keep going on the insertions, or? They're all budget insertions. Yes, 39, 43, up to 43.
So why don't we read the resolution 35 and 40 Great. The rest of the earlier time, we'll work our way through.
Thank you, Mr. President. 36 is insertion of $1,230 for New Jersey shares. Our Community Action Division receives $20 for each application that's processed. 37 is from Community Caregivers Assistance Program, $116,960. We receive $200 per client per initial month and $95 for each subsequent month that we provide the services for the Joint Care Coordination Program. 38 is the Respite Care Program income through the Division of Senior Services, $18,164. Under this program, clients who have income over 175% of the federal poverty level must pay a small portion of their share for these services, and that's an amount of money, and we actually put this money back into the program. 39, another budget insertion, is a transit program for senior services. This is when we have special trips, and if there's a minor charge, and that's $122,245. Going to item 40. This is for testing for GED and task testing through our program. Is $12,926. This is money for high school equivalency test, and it's $104 per exam and $20.80 per re-exam. What we do is we put in the revenue from 2018 into our 2019 budget. 41 is Department of Human Services, the Personal Assistance Program. This is again through Division of Community Health Services. This is for monitoring billing process for services for each participant who is permanently or physically disabled between the ages of 18 and 70, again in the amount of $130,000. 42, the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey for Domestic Violence Assessment Center program income. This is $950, and this is fees collected in 2018 from offenders referred to the program. 43, excuse me, again, a budget insertion, Office of the Attorney General. This is for body armor replacement fund in the amount of $13,057. And I believe that's it, yes.
Starters, insertions?
I'm sorry. Yes, 40, I should go to 45, is an insertion of revenue from the State of New Jersey Office of the Attorney General. 45 is Office of the Prosecutor, $58,824. This is primarily used during the summer of 2019 for treatment, education, and justice options. Item 64, insertion of revenue from the Department of Economic Development and Training. This is CDBG funding for senior services, ADA accessible vehicle, an amount of $83,300. This is to supplement the program that Mr. Vieira talked about earlier with the acquisition of the 12 buses. Let's see, is that it? That's it. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's all the insertions.
So freeholders, questions or comments? It will be 45 and 64 for the record at a later time. Questions or comments on 35 and 43 and number 45 and 64. All budget insertions.
Move it, Mr. President.
Moved by Vice President Richardson. Second by Freeholder Grant. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Sebo.
Yes.
Freeholder Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Palmares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes, however, for number 43 and 45, I no vote.
President not voting?
President not voting for 43 and for 45.
President not voting.
For 43 and 45, yes.
Freeholder Pomares,
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado, Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper,
Yes.
and Freeholder President Hill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, moving to resolution number 44.
Yes, Mr. President, this is a resolution to approve participation with the state of New Jersey in a new grant program through the Attorney General's office. This is an outreach program aimed at users of illegal opioids, with, again, a particular focus on the summer months of 2019. It's to identify individuals who are dependent on opioids and subject to a criminal arrest, hopefully finding alternate means of addressing their need, and also providing community education and video presentations on treatment and justice options.
44.
Questions on resolution number 44? So moved.
I move, Mr. President.
Moved by Freeholder Pomares.
Second.
Second by Freeholder Graham.
66, right?
Roll call out.
Freeholder Cooper. Absent. Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Present, no vote.
Freeholder
Pomares. Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Hill.
Yes.
So moved.
Moving to resolution number 60, resolution 63 has been withdrawn by the administration. Resolution 47 has been withdrawn. Moving to resolution 65. We can lead it to the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. President, this was, we notified the board that we had an emergent situation regarding burial of 17 indigent unclaimed bodies, which were done, and the amount was $18,670, and this is approving the contract to the payment to for that service.
Would you say that again? This is $18,000 is to bury how many people?
17.
17 people? How come people I know can't get those deals? Why they charge so much more?
Well, I maybe the level of the service that's provided. You know, we don't. There's no program.
They double it up
there's
in the caskets or something?
No, it's
what are they doing? They put 6 or 7 people in the same hole?
No, actually, I've actually been to one. There's some cremation, but it's actually a very dignified service. It's not, all the bells and whistles that one might find at a typical, one, but it is.
Do they embalm the people?
Yes.
Something's missing. I gotta talk to these people. I gotta set my stuff up with them.
Yeah. They were
Very
actually
reasonable.
Remember the gentleman?
$1,000?
Freeholder, remember the 2 gentlemen that were here in South Orange?
I remember.
Toward the end? Yeah, those.
Yeah.
That's one of them, yes.
Hey, listen, that's a deal of deals. $1,000. I'll move it. Who cares about the service? Because the person in the casket doesn't know anyway. The service is actually for the living. It's for the living. It's for the people who are living. They can say, oh, they sure look good, or it was a great service. Right? But the person in the casket doesn't know.
I think you might know, Field. I think you're going to know.
I think I found a good deal, though. I had to call these people and make my arrangements. Yeah, I'll move it.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Absolutely.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Hill.
Yes. Moving
You have to have a sense of humor this late at night.
Resolution number 66.
Mr. President, this is from the Office of the Sheriff. This is going to provide, authorizing us to apply for and accept the sub-grant award. It's a federal grant from New Jersey Department of Law and Public Safety. It provides $55,000 in grant funding, which we have to match $55,000, roughly the same amount. And this is just to enhance our ability to respond to and recover from acts of terrorism, natural disasters, or catastrophic events.
Freeholders.
I'll move, Mr. President.
Moved by Freeholder Palmaris.
Second.
Second by Freeholder Richardson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Morris.
Yes.
Freeholder Ricardo.
Present, no vote.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson. Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Madam Clerk. Resolution 48 through 62, and then 67 through 75. We can all read into the record at a later time.
With Carmen.
Mr. President, I'd like to be added to 50, 56, and 60.
Tell him to wait. Tell him to come back in.
Freeholder Johnson.
And with the 50, 56, and
60.
60. No problem. 60, then I have no problem. 60 is already been presented. Okay. Freeholder Siebel.
Thank you very much. There are so many people on this list that we're honoring that I knew personally, but I would just like to pay some tribute to the mother of Carmen Vernicola, who's here with us tonight, because item number 53 is in memory of his mother, so I'd like to call attention to that.
Thank you, Freeholder Siebel, for that second. Moved by Freeholder Siebel.
Second.
Second by Vice President Richardson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President
Yes.
Richardson. Freeholder Morris.
Yes.
Freeholder Ricardo.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Legislative reports. Written communication, unfinished business, new business, public comment. Freeholder comment session.
Mr. President.
Freeholder Maris.
Just a sincere thank you for this board to consider Bloomfield as an annual site for this meeting. I'm sure this will be a memorable one. Some of us started at 4:30. But a sincere thanks to my colleagues for having me here. And this is meant for 7 people, not 9, so we apologize for the cramped legs and all that. So I'm sure we'll all need a chiropractor tomorrow. I'd also like to say and encourage you to visit Bloomfield because it is my hometown is a beautiful town. It is a wonderful mix of historic preservation, arts, new business, mom and pop businesses, all kinds of diversity. And this, I think Bloomfield is where it's at. I know I'm biased, but I would encourage you and we would welcome you with open arms outside of these little bit more formal meetings. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Take it away.
I'll take mine.
Move it.
Second.